Hello again, everybody, and welcome to 4-Star Chicago Sports. This is the Barely There podcast. We got a busy show tonight. We're going to get into some defensive tackles. We're going to talk about this salary cap. Bears got a little wiggle room moving around. And on top of that, we're going to get into the new name that popped up for the Bears OC position and anything you guys want to talk about. We're going to get into it right after this.
Windy City banners rocking 4 stars align. Dynasty dreams rise, Bulls in their prime. Cubs curse shattered, the victory divine. Fields be running, clock ticking on my timeline. Shot-town heroes, legends never fade. Black Hawk flying, cutting ice with the blade. White Sox diamonds, the Southside parade. 4 stars shine bright, legacies they made. Mike with the crown, air rain, no dispute. Sweetness in the backfield, Walter in pursuit. Bear down Sunday's midfield, battles cute. Chicago.
Hello again, everybody. Damn, it feels good to be back. I feel like I haven't been here forever. Were we here last Wednesday?
We were, yeah.
Did we do a real show?
I'm pretty sure it happened, unless I imagined it.
That was 2 weeks ago. I was sick then. All right, cool. It just feels like forever. Missing Mondays, it feels like forever. But we're back. We're live, and we're doing well. How's everybody doing? How you doing, Jay? How you doing, Kyle?
I'm doing great, dude. We were just saying how tired we are. I think this cold weather is getting to everybody, man. Dude, I'm outside a lot, and then you come back in, you're sitting in your car. It's warm, which is great, but then I don't know what it is. Those two things over and over again just suck the life right out of you. And I know Kyle works till God knows when in the morning every day, so I'm sure he's just constantly tired. How about you, Kyle?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I was overall a little disappointed with this defensive tackle class. So, obviously it's a huge glaring hole for the Chicago Bears going into next season and breaking down these guys in the draft. I mean, there are definitely some good guys in there, man, but I just don't think that top end blue chip quality talent is there at defensive tackle. I don't think that Aaron Donald, Jalen Carter type guy is here this year.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same, but I do feel, and we're going to get into it, and I think we each have one of the names that I'm really high on in this draft. And actually, I think Jay might have two, because I do like Darrell Jackson as well. I like him a lot. There's four defensive tackles that would get me a little excited, but I'm with you with the rest of this class. It's very thin.
You guys think about the last 4 or 5 drafts. You had Mason Graham, you got Jalen. There's always one that people are like, this guy is going to be a top 10, 15 pick. I don't think a defensive tackle on this draft is going to be a top 10, 15 pick.
Yeah,
probably not. Maybe one. That's about it.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I like where the Bears are. Maybe they look to make a move there, or you just look to sign somebody. I would like to personally, because we're on the back end, and I think Jay, you mentioned this a little bit. Maybe trading out of that spot wouldn't be bad to move up in the second round, because as we're looking at this, and obviously this is all preliminary, we got to get into the combine and get some final stats and numbers and figure it out. But I feel like most of this talent that's falling to the end of the first round is second round talent anyways. So if the Bears were to push it back, I don't think I'd be disappointed. I'd be disappointed on draft day that we didn't get a pick in the first round. But
you know what? At 25, if we're constantly performing where we want to every year, record-wise, and we're picking 30th or 25th or whatever, that's really good. And honestly, if you got to trade down into the early second round, what is the big loss there? The biggest loss is going to be like the 5th-year option, right? That you can get with the first round. So unless it's somebody that you absolutely need to get as a first round pick, I don't really see the problem, trading down. I personally think they might be going for a linebacker in the first round. And you know what? Honestly, after keeping hearing about Ozzie Trapillo, I wouldn't be surprised they even try to get an offensive tackle in the first round. I mean, we still need a guy there. But look, you said it, Sean. It's the underwear Olympics. Once the combine happens, all these numbers change. I mean, remember Landon Jackson? He had one of the greatest combines of all time. That guy had a 400-inch vertical, a 1.2 40-yard dash, and he really didn't do anything this year. Still a developmental player. So.
Yeah, the combine always throws a wrench in the gears, man. I mean, you guys remember how Braden Fisk was thought of as like a early second round pick or a late second round pick, early third round pick, and then after his combine, people were talking about teams thinking about taking him in the top 10. I mean, it's you have your combine darlings every year, but this might be one of those drafts, Sean. I agree with you, where you're better off just trading back and getting a lot of good talent rather than chasing like that one star. I mean, the Bears have a lot of holes to fill on defense. They can use as many draft picks as they can possibly get. And like you guys have talked about numerous times now, it's not like they have $100 million to spend in free agency. So you need to get as many good players out of this draft as you possibly can.
And you know what? We're still not out of the hunt for those compensatory picks for Ian Cunningham. So I don't know how deep they're going to look at it, the league, or if the Bears are going to protest. But I mean, if he has control of that 53-man roster, he's basically the lead executive. And that will get the Bears at least one, if not two, third-round picks. So let's cross our fingers and hope that happens.
And before we get into like these DTs, we got a couple of things that we're going to get to before we get into this draft class of defensive tackles. Well, I'm with you, Phil, and I was talking to Kyle about this earlier today. Free agent, sign a defensive tackle, draft a defensive tackle, maybe draft 2 defensive tackles. I'm going to give you guys 2 late round, seventh round, and possibly undrafted free agent guys that I really like in this draft that had really big senior weeks and Shrine Bowl weeks. That raised their stock a little bit, that kind of got a twinkle in my eye. Not overwhelming prospects, obviously not an Aaron Donald type, but someone who could be a quality depth piece maybe for your roster a little bit better than what we have. But this could be a depth-building draft. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what I was saying.
We got to the Bears defensive line can only go up from where they were. Like,
and if the Bears accumulate more drafts based off of last year's draft with this coaching staff, with Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen here, you have to imagine that they don't consider 7th round picks to be practice squad guys. I mean, look at Kyle Monungai did. I mean, all the players the Bears drafted last year, I think they had Zay Frazier stayed healthy, had Shamar Turner stayed healthy. I think they all would have had an impact on this team at some point in the season.
And you know what, guys? I was thinking about this in the car ride home today. When it was Montez Sweat and Deo Odobengo, like we were getting no pressure. I think there was like maybe 2 or 3 sacks in the first like 6 to 8 weeks. And then when Austin Booker came around, and he wasn't necessarily a sack machine, but he was getting pressure and manhandling some of these guys. I don't think the scouting report really told teams how strong he actually got in the offseason. And that's when you actually started to see Montez Sweat's numbers start to get a little bit better as well. And now that's why it's important here with this defensive tackle pick. I'm not looking for a guy, because typically defensive tackles don't get that, for a guy that's going to get you 20 sacks, right? You just want a guy that can stop the run, which is a huge issue for the Bears defense. And then in pass protection, just disrupt that line. Get penetration up the middle. That's all you need, because then that double team on the edge needs to come back over to help to stop that defensive tackle. So that's what you need. You need penetration and you need run stopping defense. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears, I mean, I hope they draft an edge, but I don't think there's going to be any big splash moves at edge, to be perfectly honest.
And for me, to answer James' question, I don't know where you guys are, but for me, if the Bears are a Super Bowl contender next year, for me, it depends what happens in this free agent class and this draft signing. We got some holes to fill.
I mean, guys, the Bears were a Super Bowl contender this year.
I don't.
Overtime, people go away from going to the NFC Championship game.
I don't know. They have way too many holes on this team, man. They would have been exposed. They would have been exposed in Seattle. That's just my thought on it.
Very likely, yeah. But hey, anything is possible. If you fix some of these holes in the defense and Caleb progresses,
got to get some penetration, man. You got to get quarterbacks uncomfortable against the Bears. Just too many were writing their biographies.
I agree, but I agree, but I do believe that the Bears' best 2 games, or 2 of their best games this season,
I agree,
getting pressure were against the Rams and the Packers in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
That's when they finally could start using Kyler Gordon to do creative blitzes, stuff like that. I think they got the Bears defense started to kind of put it together a little bit. Now listen, that Seattle team's good. They're really good. But I think the Bears had just as much of a chance at the Super Bowl as anybody else. I don't think there was that team this year that was just a head and shoulders better than everybody else. But yeah, Sean, you're right. If the Bears want to have a realistic chance of winning the Super Bowl and be one of the most dominant teams in the NFL, this offseason is going to be very important for Ryan Poles. Very important.
Oh, I agree. I agree with you, James. If you add Crosby to this team, I would say, yes, you're a top 3 team in the NFC immediately, maybe top 2. That's just me. He's a multiplier on many levels.
Obviously, it depends on what the teams around you do as well, right? Like, so if Minnesota could somehow in a trade land a really good quarterback, say Joe Burrow decides to leave Cincinnati, he ends up in Minnesota.
Don't! How dare you?
Better have a damn good offseason.
Really quick, boys, before we move on, a new name popped up. Connor Sanger. He was the passing game coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals. This guy is 30 years old. Ben Johnson has his type of guy that he's looking for, kind of similar out of the mold of Declan Doyle, young, smart, hungry, dudes who have no problem working, whatever hours necessary to get the job done. At 30 years old, the league is viewing him as a rising offensive mind. He's been talked to by 17 NFL teams, including our hated rivals up north. The Packers have talked to him. He was the passing game specialist, as I said, for the Cardinals. He's been promoted 3 times for 3 straight years. He originally joined the Cardinals staff back in 22 as part of the Bill Bidwell Coaching Fellowship, helping with the Cardinals quarterback. Then he served as the quality control coach in 23, assistance quarterback coach in 24, and as I just said in 25, became the passing game specialist, passing game coordinator. His background, Sanger was part of the Missouri Valley Football Conference championship and Division I FFC national championship teams in 2021. The Bison were 14-1, ranked 2 nationally. Their offense ran for 280 yards per game, which is absolutely insane. 5th and 3rd down conversion at 47%, 5th in passing yard completion, 6th in passing efficiency, 8th in first downs gain. Sanger then moved from North Dakota to Wisconsin Whitewater, where he's the running backs coach for the Division III national runners-up. He spent 2 previous seasons as quarterback coach at Carroll University in Wisconsin and Wisconsin Oshkosh in 2017. He was at Carroll University in Wisconsin in 2018. He helped quarterbacks Brent Casper in 2027 win the top quarterback award for Division III. So he also is being accredited with the passing game in Cardinals, from what I read, and helping Trey McBride fully round out his potential. Could be a reason they're looking at him to help further develop Colston Loveland. Boys, what is your thoughts on this potential candidate for the Chicago Bears at the as the new OC?
Looking at him today, I think what they're looking at is his ability to, because really he's not going to be a play caller, right? So, being an offensive coordinator for the Bears right now is not about calling plays. It's about communicating. And look, at Kyler Murray right there, I think after that injury, he got him up to like a 3,800-yard season, pretty decent season. But Kyler Murray, I don't know if he's really a full-on NFL quarterback. What to me was more surprising is what he did with Jacoby Brissett in 12 starts. I got to pull up the numbers because I couldn't remember it. But out of 12 starts, Jacoby Brissett had almost a 65 completion percentage, which is where you want Caleb to be, right? 3,300 yards, 23 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and a 94 passer rating. So I think really what you need out of your offensive coordinator is a communicator. What bothers me about this kid is they still couldn't get Marvin Harrison Jr. going. Marvin Harrison Jr. in his second year had less yardage than Luther Burden. Like, dude, that's just insane to me. Just really, really crazy insane to me. So, and he was the passing game coordinator. Now, I know the quarterback's got to make the decision on who to throw the ball to, right? Ultimately, but that would be my biggest knock on him. So as long as he can communicate, I'm okay with it. But, maybe we are better off going, picking up somebody in-house. But that's really what we need. We need a communicator, somebody that can really coordinate, do all the little things that, Johnson necessarily doesn't have time to do being the head coach. But we don't need to worry about play calling. That's already all figured out. Kyle, I don't know what your thoughts are on the guy. I'm like 50-50 on him. I don't really know.
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that I know a lot about this guy. All I'll say is I'm a little surprised that people are so quick to pick people off this Cardinals coaching staff. If you ask me, the team in totality underperform. I think they've had some pretty damn good drafts. They built that offensive lineup. They had Marvin Harrison Jr., like you said. They got one of the best tight ends in the NFL, if not the best, Trey McBride.
Right.
They signed James Conner to a 2-year extension, and then they drafted Trey Benson. And it just never really seemed to work. And a lot of people will come out and say, "Oh, Jacoby Brissett had 8 games in a row with 250 plus passing yards. Yeah, well, when you throw the ball 58 times a game, you guys, that just kind of comes with the territory. Now, Jason, I do agree with you. I like the 65% completion percentage, especially for a guy who most teams would not consider a starter in the NFL, Jacoby Brissett. And there was times where their offense did look good. I just don't. I mean, I kind of agree with James a little bit here, guys. I think the offensive coordinator for the Bears is somebody more that Ben Johnson kind of sees it himself, and he kind of wants to teach him his philosophy and the way he coaches the game, and rather than learn stuff from him or lean on him in any way, shape, or form. But I could tell you this: if I sat down and really went through the list of names and looked at everybody, he would not be my leading candidate. But if maybe there's something we don't know about him, and if Ben Johnson likes him and he decides that he needs to be the offense coordinator here, then there's probably something we're missing because Ben Johnson's not stupid.
Right.
Yeah.
And look, nobody knew who the hell Declan Doyle was, really. You know what I mean? Now that guy's calling plays for Lamar Jackson.
100%.
And I'll be honest, I chimed in on Monday and said I proxy my vote for Press Taylor. I'm probably still there. I mean, this kid seems good. Press Taylor is also very young. He's 37, 38 years old. He's not an old guy. He's had some success as an OC in this league. And he was brought here by Ben Johnson. He's got familiarity with the offense and Caleb Williams. So
I think Caleb likes him too. I like from all I've heard.
My vote is still for Press Taylor, but like you said, Kyle, if Ben Johnson wants to hire this guy, obviously there's something there.
So let me ask you guys a question.
Hasn't hired a bad coach yet.
we talked a little bit about this on Monday. Is it a little surprising to you guys? And I understand that people are like, well, it's not. This is more just about the offense, right? But is it a little surprising to you guys that if Ben Johnson for some reason had to miss a game last year, he was sick, family emergency, something along those lines, he trusted Antoine Randall enough to be the interim head coach and wear the headset and call the timeouts and challenge plays and personnel decisions, but they don't trust him to be an offensive coordinator? Like, wouldn't you think that he would be the first guy who gets an interview? I mean, if you trust him enough, and obviously, I think if Ben Johnson would have missed a game last year, I think Declan Doyle would have been the play caller and Antoine Randall would have been more or less just been in charge of everybody. But if this guy is trustworthy enough to be the head coach in a pinch, you don't trust him enough to be the OC?
Yeah. Isn't they really kind of a step down, though?
That's what, like, I don't know, I feel like if you could trust this guy, like, hey, unfortunately, guys, I have to miss a game, so Randall is going to be your coach this week. If you could trust him with those responsibilities, I think you could probably trust him with the offensive coordinator responsibilities as well, right? Especially if you're not a play caller. Like, if he doesn't have to call plays, basically you trust him to be a leader. The offensive coordinator for the Bears, that's basically all he has to be. He doesn't have to be a play caller. Ben Johnson's always going to take care of those duties. Wouldn't you trust him to be, if you could trust him to be a leader of men and lead the whole team, the 53-man roster, wouldn't you trust him to lead the offense as well? Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. Maybe there's something.
Maybe he doesn't feel comfortable calling plays,
Yeah, maybe there's something. He doesn't want the job. Maybe Ben Johnson doesn't think maybe he thinks he's a better all-around leader than he is like an offensive guru type guy. But I'm certainly surprised that his name hasn't been mentioned in at least the interview process.
Oh, I agree.
I don't know.
I agree. I find it weird, but again, for me, I think it's going to be internal, and maybe it will be at the end of the day. Maybe it will end up being, Randall L. Who knows?
Or JT Barrett. I think all three of those guys probably have.
I forgot about JT Barrett. He's the quarterback's coach, right?
Yeah.
Quarterback's coach or passing game coordinator?
I think he's the quarterback's coach. So the passing game coordinator is Press Taylor. I think all three of those guys probably have a chance. What's surprising to me, guys, and you tell me if you disagree, that the Bears seem like the only team in the NFL that's like a no rush. You haven't seen many requests for interviews. You're like, they almost are kind of like taking their sweet ass time with this offense.
We need a running backs coach too.
Yeah, they need both of them. And you know what? I said this on Monday. Correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I think because Ben Johnson's the play caller here, I think the running back coach might be more important than the offensive coordinator. Like I would be looking into that immediately. And a name that popped up that a lot of people like is Deuce Staley, and he's got a past relationship.
Good track record.
Yeah, he's got a good track record. Him and Ben Johnson have worked with each other in the past. So I mean,
and I think they were talking to that Boston College guy too.
Yeah. I forget. I don't know why I always forget his name, but yeah, I think he's the only one that actually has an interview, isn't he?
I think he had an interview. Yeah.
Well, this Connor Sanger was requested. I don't know if it was ever granted. I'm assuming it would be.
Yeah, they have a week to respond, so that you might not know.
Yeah, I'm with you, Phil and Kyle. Deuce Staley would be absolutely great. I think that would be a home run hire And again, I until I hear different, like you're saying, Kyle, there's not a lot of buzz. They don't seem a lot of hurry. Maybe they're just looking internally and they're going to raise someone up. And if someone pops up on their radar over the next couple of weeks, like this Connor Sanger, they'll interview him. But maybe they feel comfortable if in house. Who knows? Because it's kind of tight to the vest on this one.
What's up, Dan? Thanks for joining the show, man. Real quick, guys, before we move
Dano!
on. Phil's in the house, James is in the house, Dante's in the house, Liz is here, Lindsay's here, Brandon's here, Rick News, Bruce, as always, man. We appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much. If you guys haven't already, please hit that like button. We appreciate you guys, man.
When you coming on to be a guest, Dano?
Yeah, come on, man. Jump on, brother.
Yeah, we used to work with Dano on a different podcast. He's a really awesome dude, knows his stuff, and anytime you want, Dano, hit us up, man. We'd love to get you on and catch up a little bit, bud.
Dan's the man.
Yeah, so I know before we get into the salary cap stuff, because I kind of wanted the salary cap stuff to lead us right into these DTs and free agency and then into the draft. We got a little new news that has come in with this stadium, and I'm going to let Kyle take this away because not my level of expertise, and I'm just waiting for them to stick a shovel in the ground somewhere and start building a damn stadium. I'm tired of hearing about it, but a lot of interesting stuff with Indiana just kind of paving the way and saying it's all free. Come here. Doesn't make us happy. Before you go on, Kyle, I still say this. I don't think the money is the problem because the Bears have already said they will put up the $2 billion to build the stadium as long as they get what they want from Arlington Heights and the legislature in Chicago or in Illinois. I still think if that happens, this team is not leaving this town. But it is pretty interesting what they're laying out, Kyle. What you got for us, boy?
Yeah, I mean, you guys basically Indiana offered the Bears everything they want on a silver platter. I mean, their deal could not get any better. I think the only
except owning the stadium.
Yeah, and I think the only reason the Bears haven't run to sign this contract is because it's in Indiana. I think they want to stay. I agree with you, Sean. I think they would be willing to eat a lot more money if they can keep this team in Illinois. But I mean, basically, there's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo here, so I'm gonna try to break it down as easy as I can, man. Basically, the Indiana Senate had a vote to decide whether or not they want another sports team in Indiana to build another stadium, and it was a 46-2 yes, resounding yes. So the bill has been passed. They're willing to pay for not only the stadium but all the infrastructure, everything else. And if the Bears would be willing to sign a 35-year contract, the Bears could purchase this stadium that Indiana builds for them for $1, $1 single dollar. And on top of that, the bill would allow the new created stadium authority to issue 40-year bonds financing the purchase of land, construction of a new stadium. And so if they already have promised the Bears, if they sign that 35-year contract, at the end of that contract, they would automatically build the Bears a brand new stadium again. So it's a tough deal to pass up, especially if you talk about like the property taxes, corporate taxes, sales taxes in each state. I mean, the corporate tax in Indiana is 4.9, Illinois 9.5. The sales tax in Indiana is 7, Illinois 10.25. So I mean, just another reason for the Bears to leave the state of Illinois. The governor, Mike Brown, has been nothing but polite. He's given the Bears everything they've asked for. He's stayed in touch with Kevin Warren on a basically daily basis, from what I understand. I mean, you guys, the state of Indiana wants the Chicago Bears badly. They want them badly. And if you go look at the flip side and the legislator in Illinois, it almost seems like they don't. Like J.B. Pritzker has said that he's willing to eat some of the financial responsibility for the Bears when it comes to infrastructure, but he's certainly not willing to pay for their stadium, basically the opposite of what Indiana said. He's also 5 days prior to saying he'd pay for the infrastructure, had an interview which he said he wasn't going to pay for the stadium. It wasn't until after Indiana came out and basically said, we're going to give you guys your stadium for free, that J.B. Pritzker changed his tone on the infrastructure tax. But another thing about it, guys, is the Bears would be slated to pay $100 to $200 million annual property taxes should they choose to privately finance a stadium in Illinois. Meanwhile, the next highest tax bill in the NFL sits around $8 million for Los Angeles Rams owner Stan Kroenke. So that's a huge, huge difference. And then when you talk about guys like Brandon Johnson, all he keeps saying is he wants the stadium to stay on the lakefront. He wants the stadium to stay on the lakefront, but they don't ever offer anything. There's no solution to make that happen. And I'm pretty sure the Bears want to leave the city of Chicago. And the flip side, I'm sure I'm going to butcher this name, but Mayor Tenaglia from Arlington Heights.
Exactly. Yeah.
He is doing everything in his power to move the Bears to Arlington Heights. The problem is there's just
I
so
like
many.
that, dude.
Yeah. I mean, he wants the Bears to stay in Illinois, and he's talked about it numerous times now. This isn't Chicago. This is an Illinois team. They're the pride and joy of Illinois. We have to keep them in Illinois. And he's doing everything he can to make that happen. The problem is there's just so many hoops you have to jump through in Illinois to get this done. All the mega projects bill is what they call it in the legislative term. All the Illinois legislators continue to try to push this thing away, push this thing off. At the end of the day, guys, the legislator for Indiana ends late February, and it ends in Illinois in late March. So if the Bears are going to decide to move to Indiana, they have to make that decision by the end of this month. But Sean, I agree with you. Their goal is to stay in Illinois. And we've heard that out of George McCaskey's mouth. And he's even said, I'm willing to put $2 billion towards the stadium. He said it. Like, he's still willing to pay for the stadium, even though Indiana's like, you don't have to do that here. Don't worry about it. He still wants to stay in Illinois. But it almost seems like J.B. Pritzker and Brennan Johnson and some of these guys are making it nearly impossible. I mean, they're not working with the Bears at all in any way, shape, or form. And if you guys listen to Kevin Warren's the last letter he sent out to Bears fans, that's basically what he said. Like, we're trying, we're doing everything we can. It's not a two-way argument here, or it's not a two-way conversation here. We keep asking, and they keep on ignoring us or saying no. At some point, if the Illinois wants the Bears to stay here, they're going to have to step up. They're going to have to do it soon. They have to do it very soon.
Yeah, you know what? Regards to that tax,
I agree, Phil.
between the tax, I think Leila Rahimi had mentioned something about that. That's literally just like a general like corporate tax. California is actually really high on all the other taxes as well. So I know the one tax is way lower, but they get like the revenue and all these other things. They get huge chunks taken out of it. I will tell you this. I know there's like vast majority in both the House and the Senate in Illinois are Democrats. Which obviously they're going to try to vote with their governor, right? But it's almost 50-50 split. What's interesting about that is it doesn't matter what party you are, everybody in Illinois is a Bears fan, right? At least the upper half of the state anyways. So I think what the big problem is, if they've already agreed to the infrastructure, Bears are already agreeing to actually build the stadium themselves and pay for that cost. The only thing is the tax certainty. And what really sticks out to me is we all know, because anybody who's lived here long enough, how corrupt not just the Cook County government is, but the state government is. We've had like 2 or 3 governors in jail. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, and probably another one that should be.
And I'll tell you what, I think we're taking away their flexibility to give themselves pay raises. That's what they don't want. They're going to give themselves huge pay raises, and they're looking at this $150 million tax bill annually as something that's just, they can't pass up because, it's money in their pocket, not ours. That's the way I think they really see it. Now, me personally, if I was J.B. Pritzker, who I think has, presidential, hopes and plans, if he loses the Bears, if they say in, March 1st, hey, we're going to Indiana, see you later, he's not going to get reelected as governor of Illinois. And that's really going to hurt his chances to get elected as a president or even get nominated.
Kind of a blessing in disguise.
So if I was J.B. Pritzker, I'd be bending over backwards to keep that team in Illinois, whatever it takes.
And Jason, you're 100% correct. It sounds kind of strange to say because there's so many more things that are more important than football, at least in terms of legality. But if he loses the Bears, that will be what he is forever remembered as, the guy who lost the Chicago Bears. That will be his legacy. So I agree with you 100%, man. If he wants to stay on the good side of Illinois people and Chicago Bears fans, you better find a way and soon, hurry, quick, to keep that team in Illinois. But I'll tell you what, man, I don't think Indiana could do anything else to make this more appetizing to the Chicago Bears, to George McCaskey. I mean, there's really nothing else they can do. They literally have jumped through every single hoop the Bears have asked. And I don't know if do you guys think that maybe they never were going to move to Indiana, but this is like a negotiating tactic? Or do you think maybe
I always believe that.
Well, Sean, do you think maybe it started as a negotiating tactic, and then the more that Indiana offered, the more they were like, man, this is actually, shit, this sounds really good. It's tough to pass that up, man. As a business owner, to leave the state of Illinois, go to Indiana, and basically get everything handed to you for free. That would be really,
as
really
a
tough
business. It's a smart business decision. As a fan, it sucks because you got to drive an extra hour now from where we are to get to the game. So that's
just like Sean says, what are you going to change the song? We're the pride and joy of Well, we're the pride of joy.
Indiana.
We're just a pride of joy.
We're just, I don't know.
You know,
man. For
I mean,
the
it
Charter
sounds like
franchise-
Join the mania in Indiana. I don't know what the hell they're gonna do.
it sounds like they just need to come up with some kind of reasonable incremental
Tax
tax
bill.
guarantee.
Yeah,
And,
that's it.
and
That's
if
all.
they do that and pay for infrastructure, the Bears stay in Chicago. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me. If that's what you guys are telling me, then get this done. Set it at 10, 12, 13 million. And that's more than what the Rams are paying. And you have, you give them what they want. I mean, give the Bears what they want.
I will say this, guys. J.B. Pritzker did do one thing that helped the Bears out a lot. I don't know if you guys heard this or not, but when the Bears, from redoing the stadium, Soldier Field the last time, they had I think it's like $300 million in debt for that stadium. J.B. Pritzker came out recently and said that debt does not fall on the Chicago Bears. That is the state's debt. It's not the Chicago Bears debt. So that's
which one?
for rebuilding Soldier Field,
Oh,
for retooling,
Because
whatever
it's
you
a
want to call it.
public property. It's not. The Bears don't even really.
Well,
own it.
and remember when they first implemented those hotel taxes years ago, those were supposed to be for sports stadiums. That's
Yeah.
what those taxes were for. And then all of a sudden, the state of Illinois was like, "Nope, that's ours. We're just going to keep that." But Indiana is still using those hotel taxes to pay for stadium. that's
Most
why
states
everything's
are.
free.
It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. When you think about how simple this is for Illinois, these politicians in the state have
It
been
should be
corrupt, as
no-brainer.
you guys pointed out, for years, and now they're doing what could be the worst thing possible and losing the greatest team to ever grace a field in this state. So
The charter
There's like
franchise.
150 professional football, baseball, basketball, hockey, soccer stadiums all across the country. We should be able to figure this out. It's not a precedent.
Well, it's funny. It's I don't know. Put it in the chat here, but I couldn't agree more. Somebody put it in the chat here. This has been going on for 10 years for the Chicago
Yes,
Bears.
no.
Yeah, and for some reason, Indiana could figure this out in 2 months. Like, oh, you guys want a stadium? We got you. But here we are in Chicago, like in this
What's up, Paul?
pissing contest between Kevin Warren and JB Pritzker. Like, guys, just get.
I don't even know- I don't even know if
Arlington Heights, and let's go.
I don't even
Dude,
know
I'm
if I
telling you,
called it-
taxes. If the Bears said you can charge us whatever you want for taxes anytime, you can increase it by 400% anytime you want. We'll pay for everything else. The deal will be done in 2 seconds.
Well, I don't even know if it's a pissing contest between them because the Bears aren't asking for anything that any other stadium hasn't got. Infrastructure, toll roads, they picked this up. The Bears are like, you do what every other team across the country has done, and we'll take care of everything else. I mean, to me,
Well, what
this
really upsets me about
the math
JB
is mathing. It's pretty fucking
Yeah.
simple.
And it really bothers me about when JB Pritzker talks about we're not building the stadium for you guys. We're not paying for the stadium for you guys. And he
Nobody's
always
saying he has to.
I love how at the end, every time he says that, the last thing he says is the McCaskies are billionaires. They could build their own stadium.
He's a billionaire.
JB, you're the richest person in Illinois. So shut the fuck up. Like these politicians always want to play this game. Like, oh, this person has so much money. They should take people in there. Like how about you? Why don't you do that shit? Lead by example. Like JB Pritzker, I think there's some 20 billionaires in the state of Illinois. I think 11 of them have the last name Pritzker. So like, I don't know who he is to talk about any of that shit.
What's
But I
his
agree with you.
company's corporate tax bill?
I agree with you, Sean. Like the Bears aren't asking for the moon. They're asking for the same shit that every other sports franchise owner has asked for when they build a new stadium. That's all they're asking for. And I think this should ultimately
Green
reflect the
Foster.
fans. You talk to the fans, there's not a single fan I know who wants them to stay in Soldier Field. Not one. And like they put in the chat there, Bears fans are the reason that this organization is worth $8 billion to begin with. So give the fans what they want.
People are going to spend money there. That sales tax revenue is going to go to the county, the state. It's going to go right back into the state's pockets. Trust me, we've been to how many of these home openers and Bears games over? Like, it's not like $20 to go to a Bears game. There's the ticket alone, and the money you spend over there, the parking, and if they're going to build all these other buildings and restaurants and hotels and everything else around, that's even more revenue there. You're going to make it up somewhere else. It's almost.
Dude, they're going to make, if they build
I don't
this stadium, they're going to print money hand over fist 365 days a year. There will be shit going on there constantly. Not to
Yes.
mention if they build
World
strip
Cup.
malls. Yeah,
Yes.
like
Yeah, and they're talking about maybe even the possibility of moving the AAA Cubs there so that they can make money in the NFL offseason. Like, I mean, there's so many different
Here,
things. They at times there was a time they were talking about a roller coaster. I mean, there's so much shit they could do there to generate income. This, and I don't want to spend so much time in the stadium because at the end of the day, man, it's a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo that we're not in the meeting rooms. We probably don't really understand the details, but at the end of the day, guys, it's the Chicago Bears who started the NFL. It was George Halas. They need to stay in Illinois. Like, that's not a question. They have to stay here.
they have to stay in Illinois. I know it's going to be a split decision. I've heard a lot of people say if they go to Indiana, I'm not going to root for the Bears, this and that or the other. I don't know what my life would be like not rooting for the Bears.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm still holding out hope and thought in my brain that the Chicago Bears are going to end up in Arlington Heights, and this has just been a dog and pony show for the last couple of years, and I cannot fathom the Bears not being in the state. Like oh God.
And I don't know, I hear you guys hear a lot of people say like Kevin Warren's not good at his job. Like, I don't know how to quantify if he's succeeding at these negotiations. Like, I don't know. I have no idea how any of this shit works. So I don't know if Kevin Warren's doing a good job or a bad job. I can't say that because I don't understand all this legal mumbo jumbo. I know that the Bears thought George McCaskey thought the best chance of them getting a stadium here was to hire Kevin Warren, the same guy who got a stadium built for the Minnesota Vikings. I'm not giving up on them yet. I mean, I think it's going to happen. And I think ultimately, I do believe they'll end up in Arlington Heights. It's just annoying that it's taking this long to get just to get a shovel in the dirt, man, is insane.
Yeah.
It's not just that. He was actually built up the Big Ten. I think he was not, integral part, but he was involved in the new Northwestern Stadium.
Yeah.
So the guy knows what he's doing. I think his big problem was, I think he underestimated how the government works in Illinois. I don't think he really
and he's coming from Minnesota. And he's like, damn, this shit's messed up.
So, I don't know. It is what it is. We can move on to the next subject, but I think we're all
really quick, Steve. I'd rather have every one of my fingernails pulled out while you're kicking me in the dick and punching me in the fucking balls before I fucking root for the Packers, my friend. Sorry, buddy. I love having you on the show, but that has never happened on my darkest day.
I'd rather move to Northwest Indiana so I can be close to the Bears.
Your vacation home in Gary?
Yeah.
The next big bit of news is as we're rolling right along is the good news for the Chicago Bears, who were a little bit strapped. We got the news, what was it, last week, that the cap is going to rise significantly in 2026, landing somewhere between 301 and 305 million, roughly freeing up the Bears 20 million in cap space. It's a robust increase. Just reflects continued league revenue growth for media deals, fans engagement. How does this help the Bears? I guess for me, you got a little bit more financial flexibility, be a little bit easier to extend guys, retain some key guys, make some big moves. I mean, bigger cap for us. We got multiple premium interior defenders we'd like to sign. Maybe just get one would be nice. Just flexibility to trade up and down depending on your board movement in the draft by what you do now, having this extra money in free agency. You can go possibly get a Trey Hendrickson, with this cap space, rework a couple of deals and make this work now. So this is pretty big news. And listening to Brad Biggs this week, he came out on the score. It was one of his score reports in the morning with Mully and Haw. And he said he fully expects the Bears to prioritize adding to their defensive line this season. He doesn't believe they view the edge as a bigger need than the interior. He said it all needs to be improved, but they need to get better on the D-line up front as a whole first. So what do you guys think? Where does this cap move us, man?
I was looking at the cap numbers, and like all four NFC North teams are over the cap right now currently. The Packers, the Chiefs and the Vikings are right next to each other there at 40 and 54 million over the cap right now, which is ridiculous. The Bears, I think, are about 5 million over the cap, so a little bit more easier to maneuver around that. What's interesting, though, is I think by 2028 the cap's going to be 352 million, which is
Yeah.
probably right in time for us when we're going to have to sign Mr. Caleb Williams to hopefully a giant extension. I don't know. Look, Kyle, I think you said it last week. The Chiefs are almost like every year over the cap at the end of the year, and then somehow they always manage to come right back under the cap and get everything figured out. So I think it's very, very possible for them to do it.
Subject
There's
to
some guys that we may like that are probably going to be gone, though, if they can't restructure. You know, like a Kevin Byard. He said, if all things are equal, I'd like to stay in Chicago. But from, you know, an analytics standpoint, when you hear somebody say that, that means the money's still got to be there. Like, I want to play here, but money's still got to be there. So, you know, who knows? To me, he would be the biggest guy to lose on that defense. You know, pretty much everybody else could go, and I don't know if it's going to have that as big of an effect. But who do you think, Sean?
No, I'm not. I'm having a conversation with T.
Who
Who thinks the Bears are gonna magically just suck because our schedule is harder and we lost a couple of non-significant coaches?
Well, and realistically, you don't know what your schedule is, and with that, we proved that last year, right? I mean, the Bears, by all accounts, had the hardest schedule in the NFL, or second hardest schedule in the NFL last year. But when you're playing a bunch of backup quarterbacks, it doesn't look as tough. Yeah, I would be happy, you guys. I don't expect the Bears to win the offseason like they have in years past. They just don't have that money, and they're going to have to get creative here. This is where Ryan Poles needs to make his money. They're going to have to restructure some people. They're probably going to have to let some people go that they don't want to let go. They're probably going to have to maybe even trade somebody here. They're cut Tremaine Edmonds, something along those lines, something that's probably going to surprise Bears fans a little bit. But I said this to Sean earlier before the show. If they only sign two guys this offseason, and those in free agency, and those two guys happen to be Trey Hendrickson and John Franklin Myers, I'm happy. We don't need 18 new players on this team. We need two players who make an immediate impact in our blue chip quality guys. That's what the Bears need. And even if they go and draft a bunch of defensive tackles, say they draft 3 defensive tackles and 4 defensive ends in the draft, but obviously is realistic. But say they did, I think you'd still have to sign a couple of those guys in free agency because it takes a long time for defensive linemen to develop in the NFL. Look at the season of Abdul Carter, guys. Like you need to get somebody here who can change this line immediately, not a guy who you're going to be developing for the next 2 years. So I don't think they need to add a ton of this team in free agency, but they do need to add a couple impact players for sure, no doubt about it.
Yeah, they got to come in. You know, his history with bringing in free agents isn't exactly great, Mr. Poles, that is. But you know, I don't think we necessarily need to swing for the fence on a free agent either. Just bringing in some really good guys that are cheap, but maybe need the right scenario, the right team, the right coaching, maybe the right scheme fit, whatever it may be. You know, a guy, you bring in an edge guy that'll get you 8-9 sacks, right? Not a world beater, but, you know, hey, all right, now we're talking. You know, maybe bring in a defensive tackle that, you know, can't really sack, but he's going to stop the run for you, you know, which is really what you want. Or bring in a safety that, you know, maybe he's not going to have, you know, 8, 9, 10 interceptions like Kevin Byard, but maybe he's going to, you know, have a really high, pass defensive grade. You just need guys that fit your scheme. And I think, and I'm hoping if we saw what happened this year continues into next year, we're just going to continue to develop these guys no matter where they are, and they'll keep getting better. So I don't think you need to swing for the fence with a Trey Hendrickson or whatever. I'd love to have these guys, but maybe that's not the answer for us right now this year. You know, I know everybody wants to think we're going to immediately be in the Super Bowl, but we're probably another year away, if we're being 100% honest, until this defense can really get itself put together. The offense, I think the pieces are all there. Maybe another tackle, you know, maybe some young talent that you can bring in for depth. But it's really, to me, this offseason is going to be centered around the defense. So, you know, bring in whoever you can. Most of these defensive line guys, like we're about to talk about in a minute here, you know, most defensive line guys don't play every snap of the defense. They're rotational guys because it's a high motor type of, you know, position that they're constantly gassing themselves. So, you know, you don't necessarily need one good elite defensive edge rusher. You need 4 or 5 decent ones is really what you need. You know, you need 4 or 5 defensive tackles that are decent and good. You know, you just can't have the garbage or the lack of performance. I personally think that there was a lot of injuries to this year on the defensive line, which hurt us quite a bit, but we'll see. I mean, Dio, I don't think whether he got hurt or not would have made a difference, but I think losing Shamar Turner, who started to come around, you know, before his ACL, what was it, week 8 or whatever, I was really kind of looking forward to seeing what he could have been maybe by the end of the season.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jason. I mean, who knows what Shamar Turner would have looked like in this line and on that line if he'd stayed healthy all season. He could have had a much bigger impact than some of the guys that were here. I don't have a lot of faith in Deo, but you never know. Maybe he gets better next year and he's just a good rotational piece. Getting paid too much to be
rough, man.
Yeah, getting paid too much to be a rotational piece, but at this point you're stuck with him. Hopefully you can get something out of him. But at the end of the day, man, like the Bears know what this defense would look like if it was healthy last year. I'm sure Dennis Allen knows what he's missing, where the pieces he's missed, where the holes are in this roster. And I trust this staff to go get it done. I do. And I don't think they need $100 million to do it. I think if you look at the Bears when they're all healthy, and I know that that's not common, like no team's healthy at the end of the season, but if you're talking about Kyler Gordon, Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, you have Smith as a backup, Zay Frazier as a backup. If none of these guys would have got hurt, and then like you said, Shamar Turner, Deo, I think this defense probably finishes closer to 15 than they do 25 like they did. So I don't think the Bears think they need as much as we think they need just because of how leaky the defense was all season due to injuries, but they definitely need to have some impact. They need dogs, man. I think somebody put it in the chat earlier. You need some dogs, man. The Bears need to guys like Jason. I love how you put it earlier that you don't need somebody in the interior defensive line who gets 8 sacks. You need somebody who can collapse the pocket so the quarterback can't step up. And I think if the quarterback's unable to step up, I think Booker and Sweat will get home a lot more often.
Mm-hmm.
I think this team will get better immediately. But yeah, looking at these defensive tackles in the draft, I don't know if any of these guys are necessarily like world beaters. But like you said, Jason, just get guys here who are good and can help out and be a rotational piece. That's what they need. That's what the Bears need. And you know what, Jason, sometimes having that one defensive end you got to pay $40 million to because he's such a stud like Myles Garrett, that hurts your team. You know, I like the way the Broncos built their pass rush. They have 5 guys who can get after the quarterback. They lead the league in sacks for like the last 3 years in a row now, I believe. And the guy who gets paid the most, I think it's $100 million contract. It's nothing crazy. I think Nick Bonito's contract's $106 million, something like that. But I'd rather have a defensive line like that where you never know where the pressure's coming from than have a defensive line where you have that one really high paid like Parsons, Crosby type guy, and then the rest of the defensive line's like, because you don't have any money.
Yeah, I'd rather have 10 guys with 5 sacks than one guy with 15.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah, and there's a lot of smoke that just around his ass. The Bears are getting Mad Max. There is some smoke around it. Whether there's
Ryan Poles loves him. Ryan Poles loves him. Ryan Poles loves him. We all know that. Ryan Poles absolutely loves Max Crosby. We know because he's been talking. They've been talking to the Raiders for the last 3 years in a row now about Max Crosby. He absolutely loves. And then you guys heard Penn Johnson, his presser, when he talked about Max Crosby. He said I think he's a top 5 player in the league. I mean, they love him, but it's going to be tough to get Max Crosby. There'd have to be a lot of moving stuff around to get Max Crosby.
I'll say this: if Bears get Max Crosby, then we're instantly Super Bowl contenders, James, and I think we will be one of the top 2 teams in the NFC. Period. Maybe the entire league, because they will add a couple of other pieces around it. But Max Crosby with that secondary being healthy, Gervon Dexter, you add Mad Max to the dude. Forget the Bears would be just so much better, man. So,
well, T the Lions fan says your defense needs help. Well, I mean, we won the division at the level. What do you guys need?
I agree with you, though. Our defense definitely does need help. It needs to perform better.
For sure. I think every team in the NFL needs help. There's no team in the NFL that's perfect, and they all think they have holes that they can fix in the offseason. But I mean, I'm happy with winning the division. I think it's only up from here, right? It's a good start. It's a good base. And the Bears have a good core.
I'll say this, Paul. Paul said the Broncos Texans are anomalies, not the norm. Every team would love to build their D-line from the draft and development. It's very difficult, easier said than done. You know what?
Danielle Hunter was not drafted by the Texans.
No, but what he's saying, the parts around him, Will Anderson, their entire secondary, Petrie, Stingley, a lot of their guys on Texans were drafted and were developed. That's just having a good coaching staff, and I believe the Chicago Bears have that in place right now. And I do believe that they can draft some players that are talented, and they will be able to develop them and elevate them as they get here. The Bears haven't had this for 15 years. Same thing with the Broncos. A lot of that defense was built through the draft. Then like you just said, Kyle, you can go get a Danielle Hunter that puts you over the top and makes you that dominant shutdown defense. I don't know what guys didn't see. I know that the Bears defense was leaky, but they had a lot of injuries this year, and I still think that they got a lot especially at home. I mean, guys at home, they gave up 16.7 points per game. That's really good. They fell apart on the road. So you got to build and figure out how to work that out. But giving up 16 points a game, dude, that's really freaking good, man. Like, I don't know what you got. And that's with a ton of dudes injured. Like,
real quick, guys. Trey asked, should we trade Edmonds or move from the outside linebacker? You guys, I think if anything, the most likely scenario, if you're unhappy with Edmonds, would be to cut him, because you only owe him $2 million more in guarantees. So that's $2 million in dead cap, and you're saving yourself about $16 million. So I think the most logical solution for the Bears would be to cut Edmonds. And I don't think anybody would trade for him, because they know if the Bears can't find a trade partner, ultimately they would probably cut him and they could just pick him up in free agency, So they just wouldn't. I just don't think there's a trade partner out there for Tremaine Edmonds. I think if anything, he would ultimately be a cap casualty sacrifice, that he'd be cut off this team. But that's, I mean, there's three guys that can really, really help the Bears out by cutting them and saving salary. It's Cairo Santos, it's DeAndre Swift, and it's Tremaine Edmonds. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if one of those three guys is cut.
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. Who'd you just say? Tremaine Edmonds and who? Who are the other two?
DeAndre Swift and Cairo Santos.
The more I'm looking at things, man, the writing might be on the wall with DeAndre Swift. I hate to say it, coming off such a great year, career year, but I don't know, man. I also read today, and this would absolutely suck, dude, that the Chiefs are very, very interested. I'm just throwing this out there completely off topic, but the Chiefs are interested in trading for Breece Hall, man. If they end up with Breece Hall, fuck, dude.
Real quick, guys, Sean, I'm sorry, but you guys ever seen this name before? Yemen?
No.
Yemen? What's up, Yemen? Appreciate you joining the show. He says, this is not a playoff defense, bro. Let's stop. Or should I say Super Bowl defense? I mean,
100%.
Yemen, they made the playoffs last year. I mean, I know it's because of turnovers, and that's kind of an anomaly, but we kept saying this is not sustainable. It's not sustainable. And then the Bears won a playoff game and ended up in overtime with a field goal away from the NFC Championship. I think if you have the right coaches, they can kind of mask some of your deficiencies. And I think that's exactly what you saw last year. Remember, Yemen, the Bears had the most games missed due to injury of any team in the NFL last year. And most of that was the defensive side of the ball. As a matter of fact, the offensive side of the ball, the Bears were relatively healthy. I think outside of left tackle, I don't think a single one of their offensive linemen missed a game. So, I mean, listen, you guys, I'm not coming on here saying the Bears have the best defense in the NFL. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying I think if you have an offensive mind like Ben Johnson, who just last year or the year prior in Detroit averaged 33 points a game, if he can get that offense here, we don't need a top 5 defense. We need a top 15 defense. And then you can win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and there's people in the chat here saying, the Bears defense, I think you guys said to the Bears too here on the show, said that the Bears defense was, stepped up in the playoffs, and that was the best they looked all year. There's a common thread there. You had Kyler Gordon back on the field. I've said this for many, 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 many shows over a great time here. He is the best player on the Chicago Bears defensive side of the ball. They are a completely different defense when Kyler Gordon is healthy and Kyler Gordon is doing Kyler Gordon things out there. That dude is so gosh darn good, man. If it didn't show against the Rams and the Packers with that dude on the field, I don't know what we're looking at here, but the defense, that guy was everywhere and did so freaking much, man. Kyler Gordon is the fucking man, dude.
I mean, Sean, anybody who didn't believe it,
they should now.
The proof is in the pudding. Did you watch the Bears defense in the playoffs as opposed to in the regular season? I mean, when Kyler Gordon's on the field, they're a completely different team. And Dennis Allen said in his own interview before he got here, if I was going to go to Chicago, the reason I would go to Chicago, one of the main reasons I would go to Chicago is number 6, Kyler Gordon. I think you can do a lot with him. I think he's kind of a Swiss Army knife, and you can use him in a million different ways. And we saw it. I mean, you guys, he played 6 quarters in the playoffs. He had 4 passes defended. I think he had 2.5 sacks. He had, I mean, the stat line of Kyler Gordon in those 6 quarters in the playoffs is insane.
Not to mention he had that pass breakup on the goal line. He had the stop on the goal line. He had the pass breakup on the big pass breakup on the 3rd down. I mean, the guy. It was just so nice to see him out there and legitimately. I mean, it sucks because I think the Bears should have beat the Rams, and I'm not just because I'm a Bears fan. You watch that game and go back. You kick those field goals, you win, and who knows what happens in Seattle. But I mean, Seattle. I didn't feel really good about the Bears' chances against Seattle in Seattle if we did make it there, but you never know. That's why you play the game.
They're a really, really good team.
Yeah, I agree with that too, Phil. That's becoming part of the conversation with Kyler Gordon. If next year he misses a big chunk of time again, you probably are looking to replace him.
Yeah. And when we get into the safety section of this, I got a couple names out there, a couple names that are Swiss Army knives, kind of like Kyler Gordon is, that you might want to draft, get on a cheap contract just in case he does get hurt. And you can maybe not replace the production, but be a little bit closer to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree, Yemen. I mean, I agree. The Bears defense isn't where it needs to be, but part of the reason we're not playing in the Super Bowl is because Caleb Williams threw a pick in overtime. I mean, that's if they, I mean, or at least in the NFC Championship game, right?
Have a good one. See, love you, man. Talk to you soon, brother.
Yeah, take it easy, T. If the Bears kick a field goal in overtime and win that game, you never know where this team would have been. And then they did it with the defense, with the guys they had on the field. And they're not. It's not the best defense in the NFL. It's not, and I have no problem saying that. And I don't think it's in the top 15, but with good coaching, sometimes you just got to find a way to win, man.
Brisker was like,
and the Bears did that all season. They just found a way to win, man, time and time again. Cardiac Bears. It was a fun season. Yeah, but I think we all knew going into the season, guys. But by the end of the season, we were going to be talking about that this team still has holes. Now we know where those holes are, right? Defensive tackle, defensive end, safety, maybe depth at corner. Linebackers need more speed.
I will tell you this, though. As we get into these D tackles and we move this thing along, because we're getting into the concluding this first hour here, I wanted to just touch on something that you guys talked about on Monday a little bit about the draft and the 25, and we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier at the beginning of the show as the Bears roll around that 25. And I just want to get your guys' perspective because I didn't hear you guys talk too much about it. I think Jay mentioned it a little bit earlier today. But if that big Caden Proctor, left tackle out of Alabama, is there at 25, and right now, when I looked before the show, his draft projection is anywhere from 12 to 25. So it still may take a miracle for him to get to us at 25. But if he were to fall in your lap at 25, do you pull the trigger on this guy and say, this is what we need? This guy could be 6'7" frame, 366 pounds, got rare explosiveness off the edge. He's able to shift his weight. He moves his feet he posts his feet really well, left to right. Great hands. He shows a lot of power. He does have some inconsistencies in his game, but his pluses are that sturdy anchor and pass pro, heavy hands, grip strength, good strike placement, pad level, plays under control, great change in direction. Would you guys consider making that move? I know that we need so much help on this defensive end, but with the uncertainty around what and the uphill battle that Trapello has to face from this injury, where are you? Would you pull the trigger on a Caden Proctor if he fell into your lap at 25? Chat, would you guys pull the trigger on Caden Proctor?
I mean, Sean, you know what I'm going to say. Left tackle is the most important position in football outside your quarterback because he's the guy who protects your quarterback. If the Bears can get a guy in the first round, they're going to get a fifth-year option out of him, and he's going to be one of the best left tackles in the NFL for the next 5 years. I'm all for it, man. And I understand that people are like, man, defense. But if you fix the two holes you have left on the offense, you're talking about maybe getting into that 30, 32, 33 points per game like they were in Detroit. I think you probably need a special running back at some point outside. And I like DeAndre Swift. I just don't think he's like special in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, man, if you can get a guy who protects quarterback's blind side for the next 5 years and he just happened to fall in your lap at 25, it would almost be like ironic, right? Because Ryan Poles has had so many chances to draft left tackles high in the drafts, and he's decided to draft a right tackle, quarterback, wide receiver. And it'd be like the 1 year we're like, oh, we're 25. We certainly don't have a chance at one of the best left tackles in the draft. And he falls in your lap. I would certainly consider it. And I bet you guys, Ben Johnson, who loves offense, he loves offense a lot more than he likes defense, would certainly be champing at the bit, man. If you can. You guys, how long are we going to have this left tackle conversation? We do this for the next 10 years?
It seems like forever.
Yeah, we get one. And look, here's the thing. I know he's hurt now, but we got Ozzie Trapillo in the second round last year. So, you got to, I guess, have a little bit of faith in the staff that they can identify the talent. There's so many different trains of thought in the draft. Always draft the best available player. Well, that's not necessarily true because you probably wind up with 500 quarterbacks on your team. We'll draft for, needs. Well, there's a need at every position on every team always because you at least need backup and depth on every position. So, the answer is you got to pick the best available guy or player for your team that year. You know, there's so many other things that go into it value-wise and other things like that. I'm hoping that we have another draft this year like we did last year. That would be phenomenal.
That would be amazing.
And I'd also like to see them continue to develop some of the talent we have on the team because it's just simply cheaper to do that. I wouldn't be opposed to it, though. I mean, we definitely need a left tackle. I think Theo Benedict is a good stopgap for the time being, and who knows what Amangaji or whatever it's going to be. I still think, or Kieran Amagaji, yeah, I still think they're probably going to go linebacker, though, at 25. I just have this weird feeling about it.
You guys, nothing would surprise me. The only thing that would surprise me is if they drafted wide receiver.
Yeah, right.
Outside of that,
A quarterback, yeah.
yeah, wide receiver,
Well-
tight end, quarterback. Outside of those three positions, which I think we all can agree that the Bears are the strongest at. Not linebacker wouldn't surprise me. Defensive tackle wouldn't surprise me. Defensive end wouldn't surprise me.
Quarterback or safety wouldn't surprise me either.
Safety
Yeah.
wouldn't surprise me in any way, shape, or form. If you're looking at replacing Tyreek Stevenson with like maybe the best corner in the draft, that wouldn't surprise me. Left tackle certainly wouldn't surprise me, especially for an offensive-minded head coach who we know wants to score 50 points a game. Nothing at this point. I agree with Jason. You just get studs in the building, and the coaches will figure out where to put them. Get studs in this
And
building,
I'm-
and the
I'm
coaches
just-
will figure it out.
I'm going to throw this out there because our stud draft analyst, Dante Purify, the guy who gave us Jahade All-Day Walker last year, has thrown a name out there. And he said he likes him better than Caden Proctor. And that's Monroe Freeling. And I'm going to be honest, I've been doing a lot of draft profiles. It's all been defense. I have not looked at one offensive player yet, but I did wrote this down and I wrote your name next to it, Dante, because now I'm going to look into this guy because I trust you.
And stay tuned because we're gonna do offensive linemen in this draft at some point.
Oh, he's giving us another one here. Emmanuel. I'm writing him down because you know what? You're gonna go on 4-Star Chicago Sports, and because of you, I'm gonna have draft profiles on these guys.
Sean, if you're writing everybody down, you're gonna start getting a long list here because
Yeah.
this feeling.
Well, it's not just offensive players, just offensive players. I wasn't really going into like I looked at a couple of quarterbacks just because I want to get a couple of sleeper quarterback names out there when we get down the road here a little bit. Bud Clark's all over my list. I just did a profile on him, J2K, a huge profile on him. I love the kid. I just hate that he's 185 pounds. But outside of that, everything else about Bud Clark is just rings bells and alarms.
Guys, is there any defensive tackles you guys would like at 25?
There are some defensive tackles.
Let's
so
jump
let's get
into
that.
Maybe we should go over him.
Let's get into that. Who wants to throw out the first profile?
Jason, go ahead.
And
man.
we have Paul saying Freeling is a baller. This is a guy I'm really gonna look into here. I'm putting a star next to his name. I better like this tape, boys.
All right. Well, I'll start off with maybe the highest rated guy on my list here, and that's Mr. Daryl Jackson Jr., the Florida State Seminole. The Draft Buzz has got him at like an 84.6 ranking, which is pretty high. I think he might be like the number 4 or 5 defensive tackle on their list of defensive tackles or interior defensive linemen. He's a big boy. I mean, 6'5", 337 pounds. Ran a typical 40, nothing special. I think like 5'5" or just over a 5. But really, I mean, the guy is like a natural leader. He's really tough. He's a fighter. They're saying basically that his perseverance paid off when he got to Florida State. He anchored the defensive front. I think that year he got there, it was like a 2-10 season. They were not very good. But I think he started all 12 games. He had like 32 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss, and 3.5 sacks, a pass breakup, and a forced fumble. So the guy's all over the place, right? And I think that year he got like all ACC honorable mention, which is not bad for a guy just coming in, right? With his first full season. I think who else was on that team in 24? Was it the Joshua Farmer? He went to the NFL, but he decided to stay. And basically he said, I want to lead this program into the place we are expected to be. Now, sometimes nowadays you hear that and you're not really sure if the guy just wanted to stay because maybe he thinks he can get a little bit more money at Florida State than he can in the pros. But I'll tell you what, I mean, it does say a lot about this character where, hey, I'm going to stay here, I'm going to develop, and I'm going to get this team to where I want them to be. And I think What I think he had over his career, they had 83 tackles, 8.5
Thanks,
tackles for
Dante.
loss, 6.5 sacks, across 38 games at Florida State. So pretty good there. And then his breakdown is pretty impressive when you're talking about his scouting report. He's a little bit more experienced and consistent now in his senior year than he was when he first started. I think he had 30 pressures in 24. Not bad for an interior defensive lineman. We were just talking about how important it is to get pressure, not necessarily sacks, but get that pressure, a quality pressure. I know we hate to hear that name because that's what they said about Deo, and he didn't get any of them. But I think at defensive tackle, I think you're going to notice it a little bit more than you might on that edge there. He is mean. He will play a little bit violent, which is nice. I think he might be a little bit more heavy than Dennis Allen likes, but his just pure size, he looks skinnier. Like he looks more fit, right, at 6'5" and 330. He's got play strength, they say. He displays leadership, which, coaches love. Obviously, I think that's a pretty big thing for the Bears, too. I think that's one of those, besides relative athletic score, I think that's something that Ryan Poles definitely loves to look at. The big problem with him, though, is he's got problems with his gas tank, right? Sometimes he's, just flashes across the street and you're like, oh my God, that guy just literally two-gapped that center and just destroyed them. Sometimes taking on two guys, the guard and the center. It's ridiculous. And then you won't see him for another 15, 20 plays, right? Because he's on the sidelines or he's just gassed out and he's really not that effective. So I personally think, and this is what maybe is most intriguing about him, he has played some snaps at edge. I will tell you this. I think if he loses maybe 10, 15 pounds, still over 300, still a very big boy at 6'5", I think he might help with some of that gassing issue that he's got. And who knows? Maybe you can see him a little bit more on the edge too. His size and speed, when he's fully charged and ready to go, he's an athletic beast. I mean, a mountain of a man, 6'5" and 330. If you see that guy in real life, you're going to be very polite to him.
Yeah, that is a monster of human being, Jason. Jesus,
Yeah.
That's massive. Absolutely massive. Yeah, the first guy on my list, guys, the reason I find this guy so intriguing, it's Christian Miller out of University of Georgia. So, Sean, obviously, you love the fact that he played at a big, huge school, but he's 6'4", 310 pounds. The reason I find him so intriguing is because his biggest strength, and by all accounts, and I've looked at 16 different websites and his breakdown his profile, is versatility. I mean, every website you look at says this guy could play anywhere from nose tackle to 5-tech. I mean, he can do basically anything on a defensive line, and he constantly keeps the offensive lineman guessing. He also ran a 4.940 time for a man who weighs 310, 315 pounds. That's pretty impressive. He's projected to go early in the second round, so the Bears will definitely have a chance, and no doubt about it. He has 43 college games played and 1,076 college snaps. So certainly has some experience. In 2024, he had 12 games played, 27 tackles, 12 solo tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, and a sack and a half. 2025, pretty consistent, 14 games played, 23 tackles, 10 solo, 4 tackles for loss, and a sack and a half. But overall, this guy would be brought in to stop the run, man. That's his forte, man. I like to use Draft Buzz, guys. I don't know who you guys like to use the most, but for the ratings, his overall rating is 86 out of 100. His tackling is 60%, pass rush 78%, run defense 98%. 98% run defense, which I believe is the highest of anybody in this draft on Draft Buzz. His NFL comparisons are Chris Jenkins on the Bengals and then obviously Braden Fisk from the Rams, who has looked pretty good since he's been drafted. Some of his strengths, man, he's run defense is his bread and butter. He posted one of the highest run stop grades in the entire draft class, consistently swallows up interior gaps like a black hole. Gets off the ball with quick first step that catches guards flat-footed, allowing him to disrupt timing in the backfield before plays can develop. And man, you guys, if you go watch this tape, his sidestep for a huge, massive man is impressive. It's impressive. I don't know if it's his speed or just his anticipation, but it's impressive. His heavy, violent hands deliver real shock and contact. When he lands his punch clean, offensive linemen visibly jolt backward and lose their position. Plays with excellent leverage and rarely gets stood up at the point of attack. His pad level stays consistently low, and he generates knockback power through his hips. I mean, Jason, this is kind of like the guy you were looking for when you were talking about earlier. This guy may not get you 10 sacks, but he's certainly going to disrupt that pocket. He's an active pursuit player who works down on this line to squeeze running lanes. His effort level stays high with whether the play is coming at him or away from him. Natural strength allows him to stack blockers, peek into the backfield, and shed when he locates the ball carrier. His two-gap potential is genuine and translatable. That's another thing about this guy that I love, guys. Every single one of his draft profiles said this is a guy who would immediately translate to the NFL. So you're not talking about years and years and years of development. You're talking about a guy who could probably make an impact by week 5, 6, 7. Some of the weaknesses, almost kind of nitpicking, his pass rush production never matched his physical tools. And like I said, if you're bringing this guy in here, it's not going to be for his pass rush. Just 4 sacks over his 4 seasons, despite regularly winning his initial contact, suggests he struggles to finish at the quarterback. Tackling inconsistency showed up in 2025 with missed tackle rate that spiked dramatically. That kind of aggression raises durability and focus questions for elevators. But they never reported an injury for him last year. But from what I've read from all the college scouts and from the people who work for the University of Georgia, they said that they thought he was dealing with a minor injury or a nagging injury with I think it was his left foot. So that for a guy who's pushing off the line every single play, that would certainly throw a wrench in your gears. He's lacks a developed counter move repertoire when his bull rush gets stalled, relies too heavily on raw power, and needs more technical refinement to become a 3-down player. The report summary, man, and this is kind of like my own summary for him. If you put on the tape and you see a defensive tackle who can absolutely wreck a running game, Miller's ability to hold at the point of attack, absorb double teams, and maintain gap integrity translate immediately to the professional level. He plays the game the way old school defensive coordinators dream about: low pad level, heavy hands, relentless motor. The run defense grades speak for themselves, and any team looking to shore up their interior against the ground game will find a ready-made solution. And this guy, I like him a lot, man. There's been his draft projection where he's supposed to be drafted is all over the place. It's absolutely all over the place. There's a couple guys who had him going late in the first round. A couple guys had him as an early 3rd round pick. But if you're trying to bring a guy into this building who you're not expecting to get a bunch of tackles from the interior of the defensive line or a bunch of sacks from the interior of the defensive line, but somebody who can certainly shore up the run game for the Chicago Bears defense, this is a guy who should be on the Bears radar.
Yeah, I do like Mr. Miller a little bit. He is one of the guys on the list. Obviously, some development traits. I also thought I read somewhere about Miller that he would be a better 3 tech in the league. But
I mean, just like you guys, well, and you know Dennis Allen, right, Sean? Like he wants guys who could play all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that popped out at me, Ron, you're the man. The first thing that popped out at me when I was reading his draft profile was the fact that, and I watched the tape. I mean, he is an athletic freak. The fact that he can play anywhere from nose tech to 5 tech that's Dennis Allen's bread and butter right there. You know how he loves those guys, dude.
And I noticed that I was going to do somebody else first, but since James was so kind enough to bring his name up, we're just going to start off with my guy out of Texas Tech. He is one of my favorite players in this draft. That is Lee Hunter. Mr. Hunter brings some things to the table that I don't see out of some of these other tackles in this draft. I'm really been impressed watching his tape. I tried to get tape on everybody today, guys, and I could not download anything for some reason, so I only have a couple, so I do apologize. But for the linebackers, we're going to have a full slate. But we got Lee Hunter here. Lee Hunter, my guy, 6'4", 325 to 330 pounds is what he has. Age 23. He will be 24 as a rookie. Right now, they were saying late 1st round, early 2nd round. Mel Kiper put out a new draft today at 6:30 in the morning. They had him going, I believe he was going 50th, so right around where the Bears would be picking. Immediate high-end starter, impact run defender. His NFL comparison right now is DJ Reader. He is a 0 and 1 tech, early down anchor with pass rush upside. He brings a rare blend of mass, explosion, functional athleticism. He emerged last week as one of the biggest winners at the Senior Bowl. He raised his stock up a little bit more. He was all over the place in that Senior Bowl. He's a true interior force. He consistently overwhelmed blockers with power, leverage, and surprising quickness for a 330-pound defensive tackle. He's a tone setter. He's a presence in the middle, who changes how offenses have to run the football. And he's flashed some legitimate pass rush disruption at his time at Texas Tech. Ultimately, he's an immediate upgrade in the run game. Hunter's 11.9% run stop would have led Chicago's interior group last year. His pass rush efficiency was 10.6. He had a 10.6 pass rush win rate, a 17.5% true pass rush win rate, elite numbers for a nose tackle. These were some of the, among some of the best in the country in 2025. I saw James. You said you liked this kid. Watching his tape, I really liked him too. He really does move the line to scrimmage. 3 solid years of production. One of my favorite stats about him, 2.9% missed tackle rate. It's one of the lowest in the country for a nose tackle. He dominated the Senior Bowl, as I mentioned a few minutes ago. He was consistently putting linemen on their butts. It was awesome to watch. He was one of the first guys after watching the Senior Bowl practice today had a full makeup on. One of the things that obviously we don't like about him is he's going to be a 24-year-old rookie, which slightly caps his long-term projection compared to some of the younger prospects, like we'll talk about here shortly. But limited pass rush arsenal right now, that's going to have to be a work. He mostly wins with power bursts, and he needs to develop counters and some better sequencing. His pad level is inconsistent at times. His motor and conditioning, much like the gentleman Jason started off with, needs a little bit of conditioning as well. Has a little bit of stiffness, but lower body stiffness, excuse me. Scheme fit for the Bears. As we mentioned, he upgrades the run defense immediately. 11.9%, as we said. Run stop rate would have led Chicago's interior group. Creates one-on-ones for others. His presence forces slides and protections to double, freeing up edge rushers and the 3-tech in the offense. Interior push matters, guys, and we need it. We've missed it. I think Lee Hunter getting to the Bears would be an immediate improvement. He's a polished NFL-ready interior presence. Projects as a high-end starter with potential to become a cornerstone on the Bears' defensive line if they were lucky enough to add Lee Hunter to their roster.
Yeah, Lee Hunter looks exactly like you want a defensive tackle to look like. I mean, he literally fits the role. If you just saw him not in uniform, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, you're probably a defensive tackle, aren't you?" Really good.
He looks violent. That tape looked like watching Tommy Harris from back in the day.
I know, right? Well, you hope he's not Tommy Harris, because Tommy Harris only had like a 4 or 5 year career. So hopefully a little bit longer than that. Destroying
guys, man.
Yeah. And J2K, I'm with you, man. He is one of my favorite in a thin class of D tackles. He is one of my favorite. So
yeah, and you know what? When you guys were talking about thin, I mean, Kyle, you mentioned it earlier, and Sean, you just mentioned it now. It was a little bit hard. So I started to look at guys that I thought maybe had higher potential. That like Kyle said, especially this is the case with my guy coming up here next, is guys that are versatile. They can play anywhere along the line and very athletic guys. And you never know. Like I said, some of these guys will skyrocket after the combine. So we'll see where they wind up in the draft here. But my next guy up is a guy, DeMonte Capehart, another big guy. Maybe not as bulky as Darrell Jackson, but still 6'5", 315 pounds. He's got the second highest rank out of all my guys as far as a rating is concerned. What's really sticking out to me is just not the two measurables, the height and the weight. He's got a 4.75 40. For a guy that size, that's a little scary. I mean, I don't know if I could run a 4.75 40, and this guy's a monster of a human being. I think he's got a 31.5-inch vertical too. Just insane athletic skill for a man his size. Now, I think, Kyle, you have a guy that's similarly compared to, but one of his comps was Gervon Dexter when Dexter was playing for Florida. Not the current NFL Gervon Dexter, but his college career. What's really kind of impressive too is that coming out of Clemson, there's a better defensive tackle in Clemson, right? But his journey was basically marked by full steady growth. He started off slow, wasn't given too many opportunities, but made the opportunity. I think his freshman year he saw like 20 snaps and had 3 tackles and a sack out of those 20 snaps. So pretty productive in that small sample size. I think by his junior year, out of 83 snaps, he had 13 tackles, 2 for a loss. And then 2023, 16 tackles, 5 for a loss, a sack, a forced fumble. And that was about like 180 snaps. So just a slow, smooth progression up. And that's kind of what you want to see out of a college player. You kind of want him to peak somewhere, right before that first contract in football. You don't want him to be peaking in college. I will say this though, it's just sheer power. A lot of these strengths are very similar to Kyle, your last guy there, but he's just super strong, powerful at the point of attack. He literally sheds blockers. He throws guys down on the ground. It's actually pretty fun to see. He had a couple of really good games. Started off the season pretty big. I think Troy and Georgia Tech had a really phenomenal game. He's all over the place. Impressive athleticism, like we said. He really does have a good pad level. The next two guys I'm going to talk about, that's actually one of their knocks is his pad level just isn't really where you want it to be. This guy, though, DeMonte, he's got his pad level where he wants. Be closer to Dennis Allen's size and archetype. So that's pretty good. He's very heavy-handed, literally almost like punching people and punching arms out of the way. It's very, very, very scary to play against this guy. Man, he collapses the pocket, on I'd say like 30% of his snaps, which is really crazy. Really good number. It's a really high pressure rate for me. But I think his biggest strength is probably, again, that two gap. And when I say two gap, guys, that's a guy, especially for defensive tackle where you're healed most, he's lining up directly across from either a center or a guard, and he's taking on two guys if need be, depending on what the play call is and what the gap scheme is, opposed to, let's say, some of the other guys who are just maybe a one gap guy where you're filling up a gap and trying to stop and fill that run hole, where he is a guy that's going to take on as much of that interior defensive line as possible all at once. And I think given coaching and given some time, I think this guy could be a really, really special player. I don't see him going in the first round, probably not even the second, but you never know. When people start seeing him running in the underwear Olympics, his draft stock could skyrocket.
Who's your next guy? You got Derek Moore. Derek Moore. We're going to be doing edges in the next couple of weeks. We got to separate these shows. And Y2K, reach out to us, man. Maybe we get you on. You can do some breakdowns with us. You're very knowledgeable and very quick there. Like to have some guests come on and break some of this stuff down with us. But yeah, we'll be doing edges and linebackers coming up in the next couple of weeks. So
real quick,
be on the list.
Real quick, what's up to Sherry? I think I don't know. Maybe but
Sherry.
I don't know if I've ever seen that name before. Thank you so much for joining the show. We appreciate you guys.
Michigan guy, I think, to wrap this all up here. So we'll talk about another Michigan guy here coming up.
Yeah, and please hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already, guys. Another guy I looked into, guys, and the reason I looked into this guy is because I think the Bears could probably get him in the third round. So if you haven't had a chance to draft a defensive tackle early, this is a guy who might still be available for the Bears. It says late second or to the mid third, but there's some questions about this guy. His name's Amari Washington, 6'3", 330 pounds out of Oregon. He's a true three technique. He runs a 4.85 40, and he's, like I said, projected late second to mid third. He has 37 college games played, 1,027 college snaps. So another guy who's had plenty of experience at the college collegiate level. In 2024, he played 14 games. He had 10 tackles, 4 solo tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, and 0 sacks. He got better in 2025, and that's what you want to see, right? You want to see those numbers increase every year. 2025, he played 15 games. He had 33 tackles, so tripled them, 15 solo, more than tripled them, 4.5 tackles for loss, more than tripled, and a sack and a half. So he's a guy who's clearly getting better. His overall rating on Draft Buzz was 85.2 out of 100. His tackling was 54%, which is a little scary. And if you watch the tape, you'll see why his tackling is 54%. This is a guy who gets into the backfield consistently, but sometimes these running backs just set his arm tackles. His tackling 54, pass rush 74, and run defense 85. His NFL comparisons, and this is what really started to scare me, is Gervon Dexter and Darius Alexander from the Giants. He kind of, if you watch him play, guys, if you watch the tape, he kind of plays like Gervon Dexter. Some of his strengths: he's a freak athlete for 330 pounds, with documented 36-inch vertical and ability to hit nearly 21 mile per hour on the GPS tracker. That's insane for a man that size. Violent hand usage at the point of attack, consistently winning the leverage battle and resetting the line of scrimmage. Shows remarkable lateral agility for his size, able to scrape down the line and make plays outside of his gap. Some of the weaknesses are pretty concerning, guys. The pass rush up to remains limited beyond bull rush and occasional swim move. Needs to develop counter moves. I don't think he's ever going to be a guy in the NFL in the interior of a defensive line who's going to be getting a ton of sacks. Go watch the tape. He just gets moved too easily. Could get caught overcommitting to his initial rush lane, leaving himself vulnerable to draws and screens. Tackling consistency needs improvement. Too many arm tackles in space. When he gets to the second level, tends to play high when fatigued late in games, losing some of the leverage advantage he creates early. Does that remind you of anybody, guys? Tends to play high when it gets late in the game. That he sounds a lot like Javon Dexter. His overall summary is Washington's combination of size, athleticism, and power translate directly to the modern NFL game, where interior defenders need to be equally effective against both run and pass. His ability to collapse the pocket from the inside while maintaining gap integrity makes him a scheme versatile. He could thrive as a 3 technique in a 4-3. The fact that he's shown his level of improvement year over year suggests his ceiling remains untapped. And that's one of the reasons I like this guy a lot, man, is the fact that he continued to get better every single year. And I don't think he's reached his ceiling yet or his peak yet. But if you do watch the tape, I watched a ton of it today, he plays, there's just some inconsistencies. There's times where I've watched the tape, and I'm talking about an entire game where he is just absolutely dominating the game, and then he'll just disappear for almost an entire drive. I don't know if that's just something to do with his conditioning, but if you're taking a chance on a guy in the 3rd round, 4th round as a defensive tackle, if he's still available in the 3rd, it's somebody I would, if I was the Bears, I'd keep my eye on. Like I said, this is not a guy you're going to take at 25, but if you get later in the draft and you still haven't filled the needs you wanted to at the defensive tackle position, this is a guy that the Bears could definitely consider.
Yeah, and we've got to find some of these gems and develop players in the middle rounds. As we said, this is kind of a weaker draft, as the experts are telling us, and this could be a depth building draft for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, he would definitely be a rotational piece for sure. Yeah. He's not going to be the cornerstone of your defense.
I'm going to give you a guy. My next guy is absolutely a guy at 25. I would like one of my favorite players on the interior line in this entire draft. In today's draft that was done at 6:30 in the morning on ESPN, he went 41st to the Cincinnati Bengals. So there's a really good chance if the Bears wanted to get him at 25 or even trade back into the early 2nd round, they'd still be able to get him. That guy is Clemson nose tackle Peter Woods. Peter Woods is a versatile player as well, and they lined him up on the edge. He can stand up. He can put his hand in the dirt, something that we know is very much liked. But I'll be perfectly honest, when it comes to Peter Woods, this is a guy I would not pass up. Peter Woods is a nightmare for offensive linemen. His ability to play 1 through 3 in alignments and with pass rush upside is too good to pass up, man. He reeks. He in a weak defensive tackle class, this guy to me is by far the best. It's not even close. Peter has one of the best career production profiles we've charted in the last 10 years. And guys, this is very transferable to the league. And he is, to me, one of the highest and best prospects in this draft at this position. He should be the consensus number 1 D lineman in this draft. High impact. He will bring Pro Bowl value as a pass rusher and a run defender. How he's falling to 41st right now in these early drafts is crazy. He's this year's Byron Murphy, a hyper elite run defender, 88.6 run defensive grade, 16.3% run stop rate, elite passing rushing upside, 27% win rate in true pass sets, above average production upside, 1.3% sack rate, and 11.43% pressure rate. His analytics are off the chart. He did have a little bit of a down year this year, but they said this was due to the scheme change when they changed coordinators. He has super violent hands. He shakes and sheds blocks instantly. Elite get off to dominate one-on-one in the run game, redefine pass rush arsenal. This guy just disrupts quarterbacks from the interior at serious power and quickness. He can struggle at times against double teams when he plays a little bit too high. He doesn't anchor perfectly, but that's something that the Bears can fix when they get him here. But he still commands he still commands the space, and he eats it up consistently, freeing up his teammates. Him and his teammate TJ Parker are 2 of my favorite players in this draft, and we'll get to TJ Parker next week. But when you watch the film, what you see are elite traits, and the numbers are going to be there. This guy's just way, way, way too good, man. He features a bull rush. He has swim moves, rip moves. This guy is just explosive, man. He is everything you want. He has a couple of downsides. His rush plan and production are a little off. That can also be redefined in the NFL with good coaching. A little bit inconsistent. 4.86 40 time. He is only 20. Again, extremely explosive, violent at the point of attack. This guy, guys, is my favorite interior lineman in this draft. Lee Hunter is probably my second favorite, right after him. But man, do I love this kid so much.
Yeah, you know what, Sean? That defensive line for Clemson was pretty good between Parker and Woods and my little lesser known guy, DeMonte Capehart. That's a really, really, really productive defensive line. Surprised they didn't do much better. They were good. Don't get me wrong, but
two things that really stuck out to me while doing this to these defensive tackles guys is it's just insane how athletic these human beings. I mean, at 4'5", 4'7", 4. I mean, that's like a semi truck. It's like getting hit by a semi truck. And B, Sean took all the studs.
Yeah,
stuck out to me.
That's because I worked on all their profiles already.
I know. I don't mind filling in the cracks, Sean. I don't mind.
I actually like talking about the guys that nobody knows about.
It's cool because
I got a couple of those in my back pocket.
Yeah, it's
still
cool because there's a very good chance that if the Bears don't get a defensive tackle at number in the first round, then Jason, they're probably going to be taking one of the guys we're talking about.
Yeah.
Sean, I've watched the tape as well. When you first sent the email to me, or when you first started talking about Woods, I would be blown away if that guy's there at 25. Absolutely blown away, dude. I don't know who's saying 41. I watched
Mel Kiper's draft today. He came out at 6:30 this morning. He had him going 41st to the Bengals, and I'm sitting there like, man, he's going 41st. We got a shot at him. I would take him at 25 and not even think about it. Like,
he's one of those guys. When you're watching the tape, his name is said constant, and I'm not talking about highlights. I'm talking about all of his tape. His name is constantly mentioned on TV, and those are the guys you want on your football team.
Mel Kiper Jr. should focus on how to pick a toupee, not fucking players in the draft. The guy's
I'm sorry, man.
If you
know what's crazy? When I was young, I liked him a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I have lost like almost every ounce of respect for Mel Kiper. He's just not good.
And really quick, James, we went over McDonald last week. They went over McDonald on Monday, so we were just kind of staying away from him. I would not be upset if McDonald ended up as a Chicago Bear either.
Oh, yeah.
It just seemed very repetitive to continue to profile this guy when we've already done it on 3 straight shows.
Yeah, we've talked about I love McDonald as well, man.
Look, if he's available at 25 and the Bears take him, we're all screaming, hell yeah. I mean,
I can tell you right now, Sean likes anybody from Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama.
I like big schools, man. I really do. Because you know what? You see him in the primetime games on Saturday night playing against other top NFL players that are going to be in the league. You
like them because they're all 5-star recruits.
They're all really
all
good.
Those schools get 5-star recruits.
Hey, Jason, I think J2K just gave you a shout out for your next guy.
He's actually my last guy. I'm going to hit him up last.
Don't jump the gun, J2K.
My next guy here is actually another pretty good athlete. He's coming out of Penn State, rather. My apologies. Look, Zane Durant. He's another guy. He's not as tall. I think this guy might fit the Dennis Allen mold a little bit more with his size. He's almost more of an edge size than he is a tackle. But at 6'1", 290, still not a small guy by any means. Ran a 4.66 40. So if that's telling you how fast and athletic this guy is, he's like I said, short. He's got big hands. Which are obviously very important as a defensive tackle because you're constantly battling and hand slapping with all these interior offensive linemen. He is from Florida. I think he went to Lake Nona High School. Never heard of it, but I think he appeared in all 13 games as a freshman, a true freshman, by the way, no red shirt. He came right on in. And then I'm sorry, not started. He actually was in 13 games, mostly in special teams, but did his sophomore year get 11 starts. Those 11 starts, he had like 17 tackles, 5.5 for loss. Not a bad sophomore season for only 11 starts there. I think he had a really good that sophomore season. He had a really good game against Northwestern, and he actually had a really good game against Northwestern this year too. He had 3 tackles for a loss, becoming the first Penn State defensive tackle to hit that mark against a Big Ten opponent. And if you look at his games this year, he's actually done very well, or his best games, I should say, have been all against those Big Ten teams, Sean. So, he's playing good against good talent. He continued moving up after his sophomore year. He started all 16 games, registered a career high 42 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, and 3 sacks. That would be, I believe, his 2023 campaign. Just a real big stud for me, if you want. He's really a one-gap guy, though. So the real knock on him is you're really going to have to make sure you scheme for him to be a one-gap guy. I don't know if he's a really true 3 technique. So that is a kind of a knock on him. But again, this is more of a depth piece. This is not a guy that's going in the first 2 rounds. But he also had a really good game against Illinois. I think a really good game this year against Oregon. I think he played pretty good against Ohio State as well. He's a big time run stopper, but he has that ability to get out on the edge every once in a while. You place him down and watch him do a nice little swim move, watch his bull rush, which is actually not too bad. I think his sheer speed really just kind of messes with a lot of these offensive linemen on the other side of the ball. It's just so surprising. His get off the ball is insane as well. I think, like I said, if we can get a correct scheme for him, he could be a pretty good fit. He does play with a high pad level every once in a while, but he's got a really high motor and stays on it all game long. He does not give up. I think he's a sleeper, and I think it's something that the Bears should maybe consider, maybe in some of those later rounds, like the 5th or 6th round.
Yeah, maybe this year the Bears end up drafting 2 defensive tackles, and that's definitely somebody I would look at in the 5th or 6th round, especially if he reminds anybody of Grady Jarrett. Because when Grady Jarrett came into the NFL, he was an absolute stud. You guys, the next guy I'm going to do, we've been doing this for 2 years now, man, and we've done every position in the draft. This guy might be the biggest conundrum I've ever done a draft profile in my life. Dante Corleone, 6'1", 335 pounds, out of Cincinnati. Man, if you look at his first 2-3 years there, he was an absolute stud. I mean, a stud. He runs a 5'1" 40 times, a little bit slower than some of the guys we're talking about. But man, he was just, if you watch him, he's a freak of nature. And before the 2024 season, he was diagnosed with a blood clot in his lungs. And even that season, he had a damn good season. But for some reason, I don't know how or why, but in 2025, this guy basically fell off the face of the planet. Now, there were a couple of doctors who were talking about that blood clot in his lung, and were saying that there are lasting effects from those injuries, like things that it just takes a long time to heal from injuries like that. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. They also said in 2025, Corleone was asked to play in more pass rush sets and was often double teamed on 3-man fronts. So maybe he just couldn't get off double teams. But man, his 2024 stats: 11 games played, 26 tackles, 14 solo, 5 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks. In his first 3 seasons in college, he had 9.5 sacks. And then you look at 2025, 10 games played, 13 tackles, 5 solo, 0 tackles for loss, and 0 sacks. So I don't know what happened to this guy between 2024 and 2025, but there's an absolutely massive drop off. But if you're talking about just straight up athletic freaks, guys, this guy is insane. He played 44 games in college. He played 1,566 college snaps. So he definitely has one of the most experienced of all these defensive tackles coming out. His overall rating on DraftBuzz was an 86.6 out of 100, which I think had him as the second best defensive tackle in the draft on DraftBuzz. But like Sean, you said, I don't think they've upgraded all their draft profiles. First of all, so. Second of all, I think they may have left the ratings from after his 2024 season. His tackling is 65%, which is a little concerning. Pass rush 62. This guy's probably not going to have a ton of sacks in the NFL, but his run defense 80. Another strange thing about this guy, which I've never seen on DraftBuzz, is they don't have any NFL comparison for him. None, 0. Some of his strengths though. He's super athletic. He made Bruce Feldman's freak list at number 16. And Feldman wrote, his power is something special. He benches 485, squats 605, and deadlifts 700 pounds. He can also really move, clocking 18 miles per hour on the GPS and running a 4.68 Pro shuttle. The only defensive tackle over 300 pounds at the combine with a faster shuttle that last year was Wisconsin's Keanu Benton. He's a natural leverage is his best friend at 6'1". He fires out low and stays beneath blockers' pads, turning his compact frame into an advantage rather than limitation in the trenches. Refuses to get moved off the spot against double teams. He bends his knees, widens his base, and anchors down like his cleats are cemented to the turf. Quicker than his 335-pound frame suggests, his 1.71 second 10-yard split and 7.44 second 3 cone time translates to surprising short area burst when shooting gaps or sliding laterally against run zones. Hand placement and timing are sharp. He shoots his mitts quickly into blockers' chests, controls them at the point of attack, and keeps himself clean when two-gapping. I watched a lot of the tape on this guy, man, and the difference between 2024 and 2025 is astronomical. I mean, you look at the tape from 2024, this guy was absolutely unstoppable. Dominant. I don't know, like if a team drafting this guy could figure out where I went wrong, whether it was scheme or whether it was that blood clot in his lung, if they could figure out where it all went wrong and get him back to where he was previously, you're going to get a steal in the second or third round. There was 2 websites that had him going late in the first round, and there was 2 websites that had him going as late as early fourth round. Some of his weaknesses: he carries too much bad weight that saps his quickness and limits explosiveness. Reports suggest he ballooned past 350 pounds at times, and his future team will need to monitor his conditioning. Pass rush arsenal is paper thin. He relies almost entirely on first step quickness and bull rush. If those don't win immediately, he often stalls near the line with nothing else to turn in. Short arms measured at 31 5/8 hurt his ability to extend and shed blocks. Once blockers get into his chest, he struggles to create separation and disengage cleanly. His summary, it was very interesting to me. You watch the tape, you're seeing a rare blend of size, strength, and movement skills at nose tackle position. Corleone tested in college as a legitimate freak with 485-pound bench, 615-pound squat, 1.71 second 10-yard split, 7.443 cone at 335 pounds. The combination of power and short area quickness shows up constantly on film. He commands double teams, stalls running lanes, and keeps linebackers clean to floor the football. His skill set translates well as a zero technique and an odd front where he can anchor the middle of the defense. And he also profiles as a one technique and even fronts. He can two gap with the strength to control blockers and read plays or attack gaps and penetrating scheme when coordinators turn him loose. I mean, Sean, Jason, I don't know if you guys looked at this guy at all. I can't for the life of me figure out why all of these experts have him all over the place. I mean, you're talking about some guys saying after the 2024 season, they were saying he could go in the middle first round. And then you read another draft profile and they're saying early fourth round. DJ, I'd love to hear your opinion on this guy as well. But man, if you watch the tape, he is a freak of nature, an absolute freak of nature. For 330 pounds, how fast his first step is insane. On top of that, deadlift 700 pounds, 700. I mean, this guy is a semi-truck in the middle of the defensive line. He's absolutely massive. I just don't understand what happened. I don't know much about blood clots in their lung.
They're dangerous. I know that.
Well, but wouldn't you figure that it would affect his 2024 season if that's when it happened, rather than a year later it affects his 2025 season? And maybe it is a change of scheme, or they asked him to do something differently. I think what happened there was in Cincinnati, I think they lost a pass rusher to the draft, and they decided to make him kind of more of an all-time 3 technique in 2025 instead of playing his traditional 1 technique. I think that had an impact on him. But man, do yourself a favor, guys, and go watch his tape from 2024. The guy was a freak of nature. They even said at times last year, 2025, he was used sparingly. Like, that's how bad he was. That's how much he fell off. Maybe it has something to do with that weight thing. They were like, he sometimes he sneaks over 350 pounds. Maybe he's just not good in the conditioning or not good at eating. But I've never seen
good at eating.
I mean, not good at dieting, I guess I should say. I've seen a lot of draft profiles since we've been doing this. I've never seen one like this, where these guys are. I mean, there's people saying that if he could get his shit together, he could be one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. And then there's other guys who are saying early 4th round pick. I'm like, I'd figure that out.
You know, a lot of these guys that are doing the drafts and everything, the scouting reports, they value things differently, right? You know, so you read almost every scouting report strength, and all these players look like studs. And then you go to read their weaknesses, and they all look like schmucks. So I think it's really about valuing the player as a person, or just based off of their athletic ability, or just based off of stats. You know, I know that everybody has a different algorithm, and I think that's probably Mel Kiper's thing. Now, I don't even think he really does look at film and review anybody anymore. I think he's literally just typing in things into an algorithm. They spit out, then he just repeats it. It's not like Dane Brugler is going over like 700 players writing
That's who I
a detailed scouting
prefer,
report.
Jay.
You know what's interesting is what J2K says here. This is what a lot of the people who said he should be a first round pick. This was their reasoning as to why he had such a bad 2025 season. It wasn't the fact that he had the blood clot. It was the fact that it hurt his conditioning.
Right.
He felt like maybe he over extended himself too much in 2024, and he felt like he had to take it easy on his body in 2025. But man, if you could find a way to get this guy back to where he was 2 years ago, you might be talking about a guy who's drafted in the third round who could be a first round talent.
Gem. Yep. I like that.
Yeah, the weight is always a concern, but honestly, I think with malnutrition, the way that these teams have these players set up, they basically have all their meals and whatever. I don't see how a guy goes into the season with the wrong weight. I can see how they can come into training camp at the wrong weight, but I really have a problem with understanding why some players.
Maybe he's like Gomer Pyle and hiding jelly donuts in his.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, Jason. I agree, with Jason. Though I mean, I agree with Jason. I think it's much tougher to cheat in the NFL than it is in college because these guys are in the building so often. They're constantly monitoring their diet. They get weighed in. You guys know in the NFL you get weighed in every single day. Every time you walk in the building, they take your weight.
Yeah.
I mean, if he started to gain weight, for a fact, whatever NFL team he goes to would be like, hey man, knock it off, or you're not going to succeed in this league. But if you can get this guy in the third round or fourth round, and then you can get his weight under control, and you can figure out if there's any lasting effects from that blood clot, and you can get him back to where he was. If I were the Bears, I would keep a very close eye on him. A very, very close eye on him.
It's a good, interesting profile, but like you said, he seems to be a conundrum a little bit.
Yes, I've never seen, dude. You guys, we've done how many of these? 1,000. I've never seen somebody who's projected to be drafted in the mid first round, and then sometimes projected in mid fourth round. Like that's a massive gap for the NFL.
Well, I have ran out of studs, and we're going to switch to some under the radar guys, and I can't wait to see the chat's reaction to this guy because this guy is an absolute bowling ball of muscle. Western Michigan's Namde Tucker. He's flying under the radar, but definitely he won't be flying under the radar after his impressive performance at the Senior Bowl last week. He dominated every single practice and then carried that over to Saturday's game where he had 5 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and a forced fumble in the Senior Bowl. He was absolute beast menace in that game. He's not liked at the position because of his size. It's 6'1 3/4 and 246 pounds. He's a little light for a D tackle, but this guy is a menace in 2025 for Western Michigan. You guys know how I feel about smaller school guys, but you can't ignore the numbers when you see him. 14.5 sacks, second in the nation, 21 tackles for loss, 61 pressures, 21 quarterback hits, 20.6% pressure rate. He forced 4 fumbles. Pro Football Network gave him an 86.2 edge impact grade, which was the 5th best in college football last year. His pros are quick first step, nonstop pursuit and effort, good foundation on rush moves. Again, 14.5 sacks, 61 pressures, 93.3 pass rush grade in 2025. Impressed all week at the Senior Bowl and took that again right into the game. A couple of the cons, and I know people are not going to like this. He is a 6-year college individual student, turns 26 in June. He played 161 snaps while he was at Houston before transferring to Western Michigan. And his biggest con, and this is always rings alarms, 18.5% career missed tackle rate. That is abysmal. But if you're getting this guy based on what you see, you may just make him into a pass rush specialist in the league. Now his defensive coordinator from Western Michigan, Chris O'Leary, is now the new defensive coordinator for John Harbaugh. So with that being said, this might be a name you keep in mind for the Chargers. There might be a connection there.
John or Jim?
Jim. Sorry, did I say John? Did I say John?
Yeah, I was just wondering if maybe
Jim in LA. And you know what? I guess teams are going to have to weigh. Him being 26 years old. And still kind of relatively new to the game. Right now, his ADP is at 175. That puts him in the 5th round. But I guarantee you, if you're watching this tape from the Senior Bowl this week, somebody is going to like him and take a chance, and it just might be Chris O'Leary out there in LA. Really, I do like this kid, man. He looks really powerful on tape. Again, this is one of the guys I tried to get in here and I couldn't get anything downloaded today because, man, he's a bowling ball of muscle, man. I know J2K, you're saying average build, but man, dude, he doesn't look like average build, man, when he's bull rushing those linemen. But at the same time, again, he's playing at Western Michigan, smaller school. Competition isn't NFL level. But again, production's production, and he was in the top 10 in almost every statistical category when you talk about a pass rusher. So just a guy to keep an eye on as we get through the combine and see if he even gets an invite to the combine, because as of right now, he doesn't have one.
Well, and that's really small, like 200. That's small,
246, yeah.
But we've seen guys like, remember, Sean, when Cansey was coming out, and people were like, he's just too small for a defensive lineman. He's just too small. But Cansey's played really well for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it just takes heart, man. It just takes heart.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you got to learn, and most of these guys are going to gain weight through their career. And look, it's not just diet, right? There's strength and conditioning too. Look at Austin Booker. That guy came in. He looked a lot stronger this year than he did last year. I will say that he did not gain fat. He
Absolutely.
He was one arming dudes.
Yeah, those 8 pounds he gained were all muscle.
Yeah,
he is a freak.
I think it was J2K you were asking. So ask and thou shalt receive. My next guy is a Michigan Wolverine, Mr. Rayshawn Benny. I like him mostly because I just like saying his name, Rayshawn. I'll tell you what, he's average size, not too big, not too small, 6'3", 296. I think what really happened is he had a really good Senior Bowl. Didn't have like a very good game. He had one really good stop, I believe. That was his lone tackle. It was on the goal line, I believe, too. He had good stats and a really good practice, and I think that's what really gave him the risers. I think all the coaches saw him doing the drills and were really impressed with him. The other thing is he's a super high football IQ. I think he knows where to be. One of the knocks on him is the poor guy just had to be stuck between, behind Grant and Mason Graham for like pretty much his whole career. Really tough to get some playing time when you're playing with those guys. Scouting report seems really, really good. Everything you want to hear from a guy, an exceptional anchor against double teams, which means he's eating up those double teams, allowing his teammates to get in and get pressure. Great gap integrity. That's part of, taking on a double team, right? Really good laterally, right? Has good movement side to side. So, he does his little defensive stunts every once in a while where he's lined up at, the B gap, and all of a sudden he swings around to the A gap. So really smart, and he knows what to do. He's planning his pass rush and his run stopping right at the line of scrimmage. Just a really, really smart player. He's another guy that slaps guys. I think they call it like a stack and shed, but really he's just hitting guys and then tossing them to the side. Really, really nice maneuver, and he does it a lot. Now, his numbers weren't that great. I think he had 35 tackles this year, but he had 2 passes defended, some really good games. As the Big Ten guy, he's playing some big games, right? A good game against Nebraska and Wisconsin, another good game against Ohio State. So he's playing against good talent. It seemed like everybody played good against Northwestern, but had a really good game against Purdue as well. I will tell you this. I think I had a little blurb here. What makes him intriguing is the untapped potential still lurking beneath him. I don't think he's got a lot of the reps and playing time that he probably deserved, because again, he was just behind NFL, pros. I think if he gets with the right coaching staff, I think if he gets on the Bears for some reason, I think another good fit for him would probably be Philadelphia, because they just seem to love guys like this. He's just really technically savvy. He's super strong. He's got enough experience. I know that the snaps aren't necessarily there, but when he is in, he's making everything. He's making it all about the snap he's in. He's making it count. He's a pretty good run stopper too. But I will tell you, he's probably one of the more consistent guys when I look at from game to game stats that I've seen. And again, Sean, you got to love a guy that's coming from the Big Ten. Michigan Wolverines is a crappy program.
Always.
Yeah, real quick, boys. Love it, Jason. Real quick. I don't know if you guys ever seen this name here. Mutt Greer 4493. He says, "Hi, I like the DN prospect from Auburn. He's a big, fast sacker." What's going on, Mutt? How you doing, man? Thanks for joining the show, bro. We appreciate you, man. But, Sean, you know what he's talking about?
I'm not sure. I didn't. Oh, he's talking about a DN, not a DT.
Correct. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know his.
I think give me a second. It'll pop in my head. I'm not focused. I'm focused on these D tackles. I'm reading.
But we got a defensive end show coming up, man. We'll be breaking
do.
down all the defensive, and the defensive ends and the linebackers are much more intriguing than these defensive tackles. No disrespect to anybody on our list here today, but the linebacking, this linebacking class is amazing.
Is it Falk or maybe Crawford?
Yeah. Dante says Falk.
Yep.
J2K also says Falk. Yeah, I'm sure we'll break that guy down when we do the defensive ends.
Yeah, they're talking about what's his name, Keldrick Falk or something like that.
Yeah,
Keldrick Falk.
Keldrick Falk, I believe. Who's up? Me? You, Kyle? Who's
Charlie, I'm done. You're up. Bro.
I got a couple, just a couple of sleepers. Fourth, fifth round guys. One of my favorite young guys, Service Academy. Thank you for your service, sir. Is Landon Robinson. Love this kid. Did you ever get to Caleb Banks, Kyle?
No, I didn't do Caleb Banks.
Oh shit!
I know a couple of people asked about him.
Yeah, we got to do Caleb fucking Banks. I'll come back to these guys. Caleb Banks is the man. This dude, again, probably one of my more favorite players in this draft. Just a tremendously explosive tackle. He's up there in my top 3 players in this draft. He's massive, 6'3", 330 pounds, thunderous hands, moves quite well. He's also recently been linked as far as yesterday that the Chicago Bears have reached out and spoke with him. Huge frame, explosive, people mover. He has that incredible defensive tackle 1 upside. Really good hand usage. His stock's been up and down due to the broken foot that he had last year, but he looked really, really good again in the Senior Bowl. In 21 total tackles, 7 for loss, 4.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 pass deflected. Again, he turned heads at the Senior Bowl. One head coach that was quoted saying he absolutely fell in love with this guy, again, was Jim Harbaugh. He does have ridiculously long arms for a defensive tackle. He uses them to create space and ability to reach the quarterback from multiple angles, which he does, which he did during the Senior Bowl. Well, he had a strip sack during that game while he was showing out. He's also a solid run stuffer. You're going to get great production, man. You know, he can knock you off the pivot point, plays a little upright, and that's kind of leads to some of his inconsistencies with his pad level. But he is projected to go in the first round, 2026 consensus top player in this draft at the position. So he also, I watched this interesting film and I was sharing with Kyle earlier. I watched a comparison between him and Chris Jones and their playing styles and their comparisons of Chris Jones and Caleb Banks coming out of college. And holy shit, these profiles were almost identical. And, you know, the pad level was a big concern for Chris Jones. But what has this guy done? 3-time Super Bowl champ, 3-time first team All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, 2016 All-Rookie team. So, again, you get good coaches that can help fix those little inconsistencies because it seems like the rest of his game is off the charts. He is another one of my top guys that I absolutely love in this draft this year.
Sean, do you know where Banks is? Like, where in the first round is he projected?
The last I saw, I just saw late first round. But again, going over this draft that came out this morning, he's not in the first. Oh, he was in the first round. He went 22nd to the Los Angeles Chargers. And again, that was I was watching that tape of Jim Harbaugh, and Jim Harbaugh was like goo goo gaga over him. So there is a good chance that he goes 22nd to the Chargers. If he's still
not if I'm the Chargers. I'm build that offensive line.
right. Well, they're going to get their guys back, no?
Yeah, they're tackles, but the interior of that offensive line was much better.
Jay, Do you have another one, or do you want me to buzz through a couple of these?
No, I don't. I just did the 4. That's all I
Um,
had time for, really.
Give me a second here. Landon Robinson. We'll go back. We'll go back to Landon Robinson really quick. Obviously, chat chime in. Landon Robinson. They're projecting him to be later in the draft, but this guy, man, is a cement aisle, man. This he is just amazing, dude. He's 6'3", he's 6 foot, 33 vertical, and he ran 20 miles per hour here at the Senior Bowl. He's a day 3. He's a day 3 draft, and Robinson racked up 64 total tackles, 8.5 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks in 2025. He's built like a fire hydrant, like I said. Quickness off the snap, 290-pound Energizer Bunny. Again, 84.7 pass rush grade, 34 pressures, 6.5 sacks, as I said, in 2025. He was a team leader and captain, work ethic and character, something you expect from a Navy man. He was on the Feldman freak list for that 33-inch vertical. He bench presses 465.
Not for the 20 miles an hour running? That's insane.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, on the Feldman freak list, he benched 465 pounds and was clocked running at 20.13 miles per hour on the gun. So his cons are he lacks ideal size for his position. His arm length is sub 32 inches. Obviously, again, didn't play at a Power 5 school. And one of his biggest knocks is he does have problems disengaging from his blocks. He's a late day 3 prospect. But I will say this, at the Shrine Bowl, and I said Senior Bowl, I meant the Shrine Bowl a little bit ago. My bad. He met with all 32 teams at the Shrine Bowl. He had formal visits with the Jaguars, the Patriots, the Lions, the Steelers, the Raiders, the Cowboys, the Giants, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Vikings, the Bills, the Panthers, the Browns, the Texans.
You could just say everybody.
Those are the Seahawks, the Jets, and the Bengals. Not everybody.
Well, Sean, and this is the first guy on the list that J2K has not done, man.
Oh, he doesn't. Does he like him?
He says, "I like what I see."
You know what? What I saw in that tape that you just showed there is he's constantly got his eyes on the quarterback, really good vision.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about shedding blocks because he shed like 6 blocks there. And maybe that's just.
He certainly got a motor, Sean.
Yeah.
Real quick, I don't think I've got a chance to say what's up to Steve Rogers here. I think Steve's been here before, but sometimes I get the Steves mixed up. But welcome
Captain
to
America.
Steve.
Yeah, I said I gave him a shout out in the chat there. I just didn't want to interrupt you guys and tell him welcome to the show. Really appreciate him being here. The one other thing I forgot to say about this guy, dude, he max squatted out at 700 pounds, dude. I mean, this guy is an absolute beast. And again, he's a day 3 guy, met with 17 teams. So he's not flying that far under the radar as he was. But again, when you go to these Shrine Bowls, you go to these practices, you do those one-on-ones, you can really open eyes for people. This guy obviously did. Another D tackle going under the radar. Caleb Proctor. He's a sleeper. Again, a small school, fantastic pass rush arsenal, elite production. Again, doesn't play the best. He against the best competition. Went to Southeastern Louisiana, made himself known at the practices in the last couple of weeks. But he did finish the season with a 91.6 grade at the Shrine Bowl, second highest D grade of the week, and he did, unlike Landon Robinson, get an invite to the NFL Combine. So Caleb Proctor right now is a 7th round prospect. See if he can improve that stock as he goes to the Combine. Last guy I got for you is, and I might butcher this last name, the D tackle out of Texas A&M, 6'3", 290 pounds, Tyler Onyedim, I believe, Onyedim.
The butcher is back. The butcher is back.
The butcher's back. He's got violent pop in his hands, almost 1,700 career snaps. Couple of his knocks, limited career sack production. He is a 5th-year senior. He needs to add some counter moves, but he does have a quick verse step. He has vicious spin moves. 11.7% stop rate was among the highest in the country in 2025. Again, he has the arm length of 34 inches. He can move up and down the line. He plays multiple positions across the line. A guy, again, late in the draft. Right now, he has a 5th round grade. Let's see if he gets his if he gets his invite to the combine, maybe he can help that. But again, this guy lived in the backfield in the run game. Just another guy to keep your eye on. And I'm sure we've missed a couple here as we go along. But we're talking about this stuff pre-combine early. As these weeks go by, I would like to maybe revisit the D tackles as we get closer to the draft, because this is an important position for the Bears. And, having Peter Woods right now on February 2nd going 41st, I think you might see him rise up the ranks just a little bit, because that guy is unbelievable. So,
the interviews at the combine, I think, are increasingly getting more important and more viable as a rating tool for some of these guys. I think they're looking now. In the past, it was pretty much just all like run, jump, drills. Now those meetings, you've seen them more televised, so maybe I'm just wrong because I've never actually been to the NFL Combine. Hey, we could go there. I mean, if we wanted to, see if we can go there. It's in Indianapolis, right? But I think personally, those interviews, so some of these guys will rise and fall just based off of the interviews. Hey, this guy was jumping off the tape in every drill possible, but you talk to him, and he sounded like Devin Hester. You know what I mean? I don't know if I want this guy. So I don't know. All I know is I want a high football IQ guy on the defensive line. I want a high football IQ on the offensive line. And I want both lines to be as violent as possible. I know that sounds great, but that's what you're looking for.
And Jay, that's kind of what I was thinking. You talk about high IQ, Navy man.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be smart. Absolutely.
Landon, I like Landon Robinson, man. He is built like a fucking truck, dude. Like, dude, you're squatting 700 and benching 465. Jesus Christ, dude.
Did you see the guy in the at the Pro Bowl who did like 225 like 45 times? It didn't even look like he broke a sweat.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, guys, we're not ever going to get to every single player in the draft in each position. There's just not enough. This would be a 9-hour show if we got to every defensive tackle. But we try to get the guys who, A, the Bears have shown interest in, or B, the Bears have a chance to draft. Yeah. I know a lot of people kept talking about Dominic Orange. I looked at Dominic Orange this morning, and I agree. I think it was J2K who said it. I don't know if he would necessarily fit Dennis Allen's scheme. I think he's going to be a good player in the NFL, but I just don't know if that's the guy Dennis Allen would fall in love with.
And this has been a show. J2K, please reach out to me. Hit me up on my DM on Twitter. We'll exchange numbers. We'll see if we can get you on here. Do a linebacker show or the safeties or whatever we got coming up. I don't know.
Yeah, keep it up, J2K.
Yeah.
You know your ship.
Good content, buddy.
Yeah. And I wrote down these names that you said because, again, I don't know everybody either. So I'm definitely going to check out that Nick Barrett and that Tyreek Sapp. And I'm going to get into Monroe Freeling. But when I was looking at this draft, Monroe Freeling went in the first round of the draft that was done today. So this guy is obviously pretty high on the boards of these NFL teams and Mel Kiper, obviously. But we do, before we get out of here, guys, we got to do our final pick'em of the year.
Yeah.
And we got a special guest again.
Yep.
Boo.
Should we all say our pick at the same time, considering it's probably all going to be exactly the same?
I think they're all going to be the same here. I think I saw James earlier took the Patriots. So
yeah, I'm taking Seattle.
It's got to be Seattle, guys. I mean, they have the most well-rounded team. Their defense is ridiculous. Their offense right now is playing better than I think maybe any other team is playing at all. I know New England's got a pretty good defense as well, but I got to be honest with you. I think they're just too young, and I think, man, it's like Seattle's year. Sam Darnold's just playing out of his mind. Jackson Smith and Jigba is like a receiving god. Yeah. That defense is scary. Very, very scary. I would not want to face them. And I got to be honest with you. I know the weather was bad, but I was not at all impressed in that AFC Championship.
Oh my! I'll be honest.
10 points against a team that didn't have a quarterback. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know how anybody else feels, but I haven't really been impressed with Drake May in these playoffs whatsoever.
No. Really? Not really.
No, I certainly think Seattle's a year ahead of the Patriots.
Yeah.
I think if Bo Nix plays in that game,
Mhm.
there's a good chance we're talking about the Denver Broncos versus.
I
the
agree.
Bears.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, Kyle, if that were the case, I'd probably be taking the Broncos over the Seahawks just because I like the Broncos more than the Seahawks.
I despise the
Yes,
Seahawks.
yes.
It
Yeah.
pains me to pick the Seahawks to win a Super Bowl. I don't. I think it's because those seasons like 05, 06, 07, them and the Bears kind of created a little bit of a rivalry. I think they saw each other in the playoffs, back to back years, wasn't it? I think it was back to back years they saw each other in the playoffs. I don't know why. I've never liked Seattle. I don't like them. I think
No.
it's because they gave the Patriots a Super Bowl when they could have just handed the ball off to Marshawn Lynch and
Yeah.
won.
Yes.
We're a
Yeah,
Bears
right.
family in
I
this
think
house.
that's
Steve,
why-
there's many
Yes.
things you could say about that little
Yeah.
girl that I would back you up on, but a Packers fan is not one of them.
No. No,
Yeah.
Only Bears fans live in this house.
that's right.
I
If
think
she,
you've got the wrong podcast.
if she was a Packers fan, she'd be put up for adoption.
And she'd stay there for a
Yes.
long.
Yeah. Yes, she would. No, I'm with you guys, man. I again, we did our
Yes.
we did our apologies to Sam Darnold a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
And he's really impressed me.
Yeah.
I do think that thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
I do think that I think that the Patriots defense will give them a little problems. They've
Mhm.
been very impressive through these playoffs, but I think ultimately the more complete team is Seattle, and
Yeah.
I'm going to take Seattle to win.
I
Seattle.
I would rather have seen the NFC Championship game be the Super Bowl than watch the
Right.
Patriots. I think the Seahawks are going to beat them up pretty
Yeah,
good,
yes,
man.
yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
And Patriots are a good team. I just,
Yeah.
like I said, new coach, second year
Yeah.
quarterback, hasn't looked very good in the playoffs.
Mhm.
I think they kind of got lucky with the Bo Nix injury. I don't even know.
I
if
think
that-
Justin Fields is still under contract with the Jets.
Yeah, he got the $40
Yeah.
million guaranteed.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
cut him, you're paying him $20 million to leave. At this
Yeah.
point, if I was the Jets, I'd just try to find out. I'd make him like a Taysom Hill type guy. I certainly wouldn't eat $20 million.
I think Steve's speaking out of pure hatred because I know Packers fans hate Seattle.
I mean, any
Yeah.
NFC fan should want the AFC to win, but I mean,
Yeah.
you can't tell me you're not getting sick of the Patriots, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
this has been 20,
No.
25 years of
Yes,
dominance.
yes.
Like at some
They
point,
also had a very easy schedule. I know they won a lot of games, but they're just not as impressive. I know they're a
Yeah,
really well-rounded
yeah.
team, but I'll tell you what, they're there right now, not because of Vrabel. They're there because of like 3 straight years of having some really great drafts.
Yeah,
Some
100%.
really great
Yes.
drafts.
oh, and they killed it. I think they won the offseason free agency. They had a
Oh,
they absolutely
100%.
killed the free agency, and then on top of that, you guys see the list of quarterbacks they played to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, it's absolutely embarrassing. I think who was the best outside of Josh Allen? Who's the best quarterback that the Patriots
I
played?
feel you, Steve.
Yeah.
It wasn't good.
Was that,
No.
what was that? The best quarterback that they played
Outside of Josh Allen, it was
outside of Josh Allen? It's going to be Sam Darnold on Sunday.
yeah.
Sam
that's-
Darnold. Yeah.
Listen,
Sam Darnold
all-
has the team around him. Josh
Yeah.
Allen doesn't have anybody.
all
And you know
those-
what? Let's be honest. Much like Ben Johnson cost the Bears, in my opinion, only taking those field goals. We're talking about Bears, Seattle.
Peyton
Instead.
did
That's
too.
just my opinion. Sean Payton should have taken that field goal in that snowstorm and made it 10-10. And
Right
maybe
after he was
he-
criticizing Johnson for not
Yeah,
taking
right.
the field goal.
like it just made no sense. This whole fourth down shit, it's fun in the regular season, but when the game's on the line and there is no tomorrow, take the freaking points, man. For the
Yeah.
love of Christ.
Yes.
My Lord.
anything
Yeah.
else? you
Malik
guys
Willis
know?
is headed to Miami for real?
No, I think he's
Nah.
he can't. He can't. The
Well,
league year's not open.
no, for
He's
actually
a free agent.
I was
Yeah,
going to
but the
throw
league
that up
year's
there
not open.
because our NFL calendar is opening up here in just 5 short days. The waiver period begins,
Really?
and then shortly after that, we'll
Yeah,
have the tag
fi-
window.
5 days
So-
because the league year ends when
Yeah.
the Super Bowl's over. That's why it's 5 guys.
Jeez, Steve.
Yeah, let's get it. Let's have some fun.
Yes. That's cool.
Hey, this was a highly productive show. A lot of information, man.
Great chat.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
the chat was off the chain as
Awesome.
usual.
Off the
Dante,
chain.
I
Do
got-
people say that anymore?
what's that?
Off the chain. Do people say that anymore?
I don't
Avery,
know.
are the
Off
kids
the
saying
chain.
off the chain anymore?
Do the kids say?
No one
Rookie.
ever says that. What are we doing?
No one says that.
80s.
That's
Hundreds up to there.
that was showing our age there.
Hi, Brookie.
Hey, Brookie.
Look at the brookie. We're bringing all of our children on
Yes.
these days.
Yes.
He's a free agent. Miami Halfley and others. Yeah, that's a good call. That's a good call, Steve. I'm really excited. And when does free agency open again? I just had that up. When is free? No, free agency. The new year begins. Oh, early negotiating, March 9th. All right, that's our target date for early negotiating, boys. I cannot wait. But yeah, we got Brooklyn in the house. We got Avery in the house. We got Bruce in the house.
Yep.
Now we got a pet. We got a pet show.
Yeah.
Got Jay leaving the house.
Hey, Jay.
Oh boy. Hey guys, this was fun. I'm not sure. I know Dustin has a family.
Thanks, Steve.
anniversary.
Appreciate it, man. God
And,
bless you too, brother.
I'm not sure if there's going to be a show tomorrow night. But exciting announcement for our Chicago Cub fans out there. This Saturday, 9:30 in the morning, the voice of the Chicago Cubs. I can't believe I completely forgot about this. I should have said this earlier.
9:30.
Alex Cohen's going to join the show. We're going to be talking all things
See that again,
Chicago
Sean?
Cubs
Wow.
from Alex Cohen's perspective. Kyle and I are going to put him under the white hot light, and we're going to bust him down for the season premiere of the Northside 9. It is a little early. We're going to have to give Kyle an injection of an energy drink to get him through the show.
I'll get him.
But thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. Both Steves. Thank you guys both very much. Love talking football with y'all. And then obviously we'll be back on Monday again. So hopefully you tune into the Northside 9 with Alex Cohen. We look forward to talking some baseball. The Cubs are in spring training right now. We're looking at pitchers and catchers. PCA is there. Matt Shaw is there working on his swing. So there's plenty to talk about with Mr. Cohen this Saturday. Dante, are you? Is that a White Sox? Yuck! That's Jay's alley.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
The last jersey I bought, let's put it this way, is an Adam Dunn jersey.
His last name's dumb for a reason.
Yes,
Done.
and yes, Jason is correct. We will be we'll be at 11 and 12. Not sure what.
Jesus, Steve, you're a Packers and a Yankees fan, bro.
Yeah,
God,
Jeez. Jeez, Steve.
what's going on over
Okay.
there?
Hey, it's good baseball talk, Steve. Come check it out, anyways.
Next, he's gonna say he's a
Steve.
Knicks or Boston Celtic fan.
Yeah.
Killing me, bro.
But
No Brewers.
again, we'll be back. Just stay tuned to the site, and we'll bust out if there's going to be a bare minimum this Saturday.
Yeah, and real quick, man, thank you everybody so much for
Thursday.
participating in the chat, guys. Love breaking down the draft with you guys. It's an absolute blast.
Sounds
And
fun.
we're gonna from here on out every Wednesday we'll be picking a new position group to break down in this draft. Obviously, we're going to focus more mainly on the defensive guys this year, but we will break down some offensive guys as well.
Yeah.
Are we going to do another draft show at Mr. River Street?
I don't know. Do you guys think we could stay awake till midnight when the Bears?
It's gonna be a late one.
Jeez.
I
Couple
don't know.
months. Yeah.
I think so. But we'll as we get a little bit closer, we'll figure that out. We'll figure that out.
Yeah, you guys take care of
Yep,
yourselves.
and-
Take
until
care of
next
each other.
time,
We
just
love you.
remember the 3 rules of life. Oh hell
My
yeah!
science teacher
Oh, yeah.
had that poster in her classroom.
That's a good science teacher.
No, she's like she got mad at me because I tossed my needle.
Well, stop tossing your needle. She's a good science teacher. Until next time, everybody. Bear down. We love you all.
Bear
Thanks
down.
for the participation, man.
Thanks,
Love you.
everybody.
Peace and love, everybody.
Go Bears.
Bear down.
Bear down.